Hello everyone and welcome to the Roma Six Siege ESL Premiership live here in Leicester, and we've got some incredible matches for you as we head into day number 5. I'm Lethal, joined again by Troika and Ace, and guys, some predictable matches yesterday, but you know, there were some close games here and there.
Yeah, there were some really good matches yesterday. I think we didn't really get too surprised by some of the results. It was a lot of the things that we were expecting, but some great fights showed by some teams, which was always nice to see.
And a 1v3 clutch from Mounty Crip. I'm bringing it out already. We're bringing that one up again. You're going to see it here on the replays. We're just showing some of the best. This is a beautiful shot as well there from Grizzly. Absolutely fantastic, just past the Prisma's shoulder there. Yeah, we saw some great play. I think if yesterday was the day that was predictable, today is the day where everything is anybody's. And we really do have a tough job on our hands predicting these ones.
Yeah, we've got no chance. There's been some predictions went out the window last week. This time around, it's going to be pretty much similar, not yesterday, but they will do today. And another thing to talk about the plays as well, Zumi, if we got that ace clutch, my goodness, they would have been flying, Ollie.
We got teased with Zumi's clutch, I think. And then Mounty Crip really cemented the deal later on in a different game, but there were some fantastic plays coming out. That one that we've just seen there from Usus, you know, 3 kills without really moving his feet. Multiple occasions where we got double kills and triple kills. I think that's one of Tim's favourites. He's commented on it about 6 times at this point. But a brilliant drop shot no-scope there from Josh. And just some fantastic technical ability on display yesterday.
Yeah, you mentioned as well with users with that 4K before on yesterday's game. It just shows that once you get a couple, you don't have to make the rotations or the flanks around. He held his position, even though he was definitely called out, still managed to take him down. He was in the perfect position, line of sight. He was always going to get that first shot in, Ace.
Here we go, Mounty Crip there. We know it. They make some mistakes. They keep feeding him, and then they have to step. I'm interested to see the ammo here. Jonker switches out to pistol, still 160. 160 shots available on his primary. Switches to pistol. Maybe about, you know, we didn't see that in that much detail yesterday. It was picked up just as we were watching it back, so I was interested then to see what the ammo count was, and maybe a little mistake from Jonker there.
Maybe. You know, you was talking about before where it was like you've been waiting for that clip all day to see it again. But let's have a look at the standings. As you can see, Fierce and Crazy, they'll be playing against each other in a Challenger League qualifiers rematch, you could say, in the best of 3 they played last time as Crazy took that 2-1. So it'll be the battle for first place. But as you look lower down, you've got Audacity versus Enclave, trying to survive that relegation zone to see who will come out on top. And of course, no means least, Demise and Burning Foxes, another close game, Ollie.
I mean, the Demise and Burning Foxes is really going to start to dictate and to level out that middle of the table. That's going to be the one to watch for basically big positioning, and if Demise are able to come out with a win there, it just cements them a little bit. But Burning Foxes, they've got a really good opportunity now. Yep,
they do, but it is the most important game of the season so far for Demise. We can see the top 3 are all on 12 points, 2 of them play each other, so this is Demise's opportunity to leapfrog whoever loses in that crazy fierce game. If there's a draw, bang, Demise go top. It's a huge, huge game for them today, and they need to step up, make sure they're ironing out their mistakes and do what they need to do.
I think all these matches are must wins for every single one of these teams, because it is getting to the later stages now. But if you guys at home want to compete in the Open Cups, make sure to head over to esl.im/R6UK to win yourself some Siege credits, both on PC and console too. Because we need some credits, don't we, Ollie? You know, we need a little bit. We won't, but we know some players will.
Well, the skins are certainly worth having. I know you've already got the Ash one, haven't you, Tim? I'm a little bit jealous. I'm going to be racing home to get that one myself. But yeah, that's what you're going to get with the credits. It's always good to get those skins, or even support the Pro League pilot program as well. There's always good stuff on there.
Definitely, and make sure you follow all our socials down below here at ESL UK, YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. Make sure to head over to @ESL UK on Twitter too to vote for your player of the match and to vote for any matches going on throughout the course of the days and future weeks too. But let's have a look at the schedule, guys, and see what we're in for here so far. But of course, so many matches, it's so hard to say what is the one to watch. We have, well, suggested that it will be Crazy versus Fierce, but every single one of them are so important for these teams, Ace.
Yeah, they really are. The first 2 fixtures in particular, Demise I've already discussed, depending on what happens in the second. And out of the second, we've got 2 unbeaten teams. So one way or another, that record is not going to stand after tonight. They either both pick up a draw, or we have one unbeaten and we have one that takes a big L. And that is going to really start shaping up the back end, the sharp end of this season.
And we have to say, Ollie, For Fierce, this is their true test to see what they're really capable of here.
Yeah, exactly. And Fierce are a team that have been tested before. We've seen this. They've played a lot of Siege recently, and they've really been working on ironing out a lot of those creases that we've seen them sort of develop. Particularly, one of my comments usually for Fierce is that their attacks aren't brilliant, and that's something that they have started to work on, and they have got a little bit better on those attacks.
I've said as well for Fierce, and it is again something that we've seen them improve upon. We're not just getting on Fierce here. We're not just down them and pulling them apart. Another area we've seen them develop. I've said it, playing from ahead, getting themselves 4-2, 5-1 up, and then we start seeing those aggressive, I won't call them silly, but you know, those rushes where we're all 5 just dashing into sight, start losing a couple of rounds, and all of a sudden you're in a game when you really don't need to be. And we've seen over the last couple of weeks them close those games out much better and just keep that professional mentality, lock it down. 7-1 is better than 5-4. And just finish it off.
But let's look at Demise, the first roster between these two teams in our first match. It's very difficult to say who will come out on top, and both these teams, their attacking side is very good. They can adapt quite quickly, but have different paces to how they want to execute the site, Solly, depending on the map.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we saw a great Demise yesterday. They fought really hard, and it was good to see because they are one of those teams that's kind of on the edge. You know, they've got potential, and there's a lot of people in there that have really got some good gun skill users. You talk about multiple kills, multiple rounds, just a great fragger. Thank Dowie. We can't go without mentioning Dowie.
We can talk about users quite easily. We did yesterday. He had a great game, but Dowie, bit of an unsung hero, really. He was really putting a shift in the background. I'm not sure if he came out with the same number of kills as users or close, but yeah, there's a pair really dominated yesterday, so keep a close eye on Dowie today. Yeah,
we normally mention users quite a lot, but Dowie was just absolutely phenomenal throughout the entire course. You know, didn't have many deaths, but had plenty of frags to his name. Just shows that staying alive is so important in some of these matchups here, Willie.
Definitely. I think he came out with 10 and 2 in the end, which, you know, you can't argue with a sort of result like that. Dying only 2 rounds. Joshua Glitch as well, someone that you really can't go without mentioning. But a team of gunners, and that's what you need. You need a team that can get out there and get some kills.
A little shout to our graphics as well, Chad.
Oh, the nice.
Yeah, they are looking quite fabulous, though, aren't they? You know, we can't really complain.
Tell you what, week after week, things just get better and better.
It's almost as good as your shirt, really, isn't it?
Resplendent.
Let's have a look at the Burning Foxes roster here, and every single one of these guys really stood out. Like even towards yesterday's game, we saw a couple of them where, especially like with Grizzly and Gorgona, very good on the attacking side, and then almost started really coming out of the woodwork. And Anarchic as well. You mentioned him so many times for the entire map, Ace.
I'm glad that you remembered him, Harry, because it was easy. It was easy for him to sort of get lost in there. There was no, we've said this before, no big 2Ks, 3Ks, 4Ks. He was just coming in, odd kill here, there, but they added up and he was consistent throughout the game, and he made a huge contribution, did Anarchic, quite quietly, but some very important moments for him. The one that I can remember particularly was Anarchic and Ormoz downstairs in the Archives Teller's site as Mute and Echo, and they just absolutely locked it down. It was a great round from them, but Grizzly and Gorgona usually steal the show. They did again last night. You know, they came in, they had some brilliant kills. I always like watching them two as a duo.
Yeah, those two were just entering the sites like it was nothing pretty much. Entering garage, not really many people covering, but the comms were there, but I think it was just too little too late.
I think Grizzly just had one of the games yesterday where he couldn't really do any wrong, and I think that was really demonstrated in the ability that he had to pick up multiple kills. It's fighting talk. Ormoz is coming out there.
It's spicy.
Do these guys even have a coach? Now, Ormoz, you were quite serious yesterday. You've changed your tune a little bit, but that is hilarious.
Ormoz is coming out swinging on the timeline. There's no question.
He's a different man. I thought he was a nice guy. I thought he was, you know, I thought he was doing right, but obviously not. We've got another one. Horses make a landscape look beautiful. See, again, I don't know if he's a philosopher or what, but Ace,
I think it's the name of a I think it's the name of a poetry book. Users might correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, I think that's where that comes from. But he's drip feeding us a little bit of, you know, he's stepping it up a notch. He's getting deep in there. He's bringing the poetry to Prem.
Yeah, his literature is probably better than mine, and yours is definitely better than mine anyway, to say the least. But Ollie, take us through the start of this ban.
Okay, so we're going to have Consulate and Coastline as our auto bans. I didn't do very well yesterday picking the maps, and I think maybe the strategy is to mention them all. That's something that you like to do.
That's what you do, and then you call it half a point.
And then you call it half a point, and everyone's happy. So
guaranteed 2
out of 4, guaranteed.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
It really really is as easy as that, but maybe a cafe, something like that.
Interestingly, we saw Demise take out the sort of strat-heavy maps yesterday, which was a bit of a surprise for me. I'd have thought they'd have been keen to play there, being that they are, you know, they do have a good team structure. I don't know whether Sternab's maybe just trying to bring them back to basics. He did say that that was something that he was working on, you know, getting the call-outs locked in, getting all those foundations in place. So I think that's maybe something that we'll see again today. Maybe places like Villa and CAF going out. I think they're going to be edging more towards your border, your clubhouse. Burning Foxes, I think that sort of suits them as well, because that's something that we've seen is they need to develop that teamwork a little bit. They've been very good, don't get me wrong, but if anything, you know, that maybe suits them. I'd say Clubhouse. I think Borders maybe too far in the direction of Gunfight Heavy. I think Clubhouse is a nice sort of in-between for them.
Yeah, I think Kev wouldn't be too much of a bad pick either, but I completely understand exactly where you're coming from. But let's have a look and see what they've got. So Borden Bank, like you mentioned, you know, those are banned as well, Velo and CAF. And yes, he's right, so I'm not going to mention any other maps ever again.
People are going to notice.
Absolutely right.
People are going to notice that that's 4 Clubhouse choices in a row now. I've got 2 right though, but I genuinely, I'm not just. I promise.
It's a weird flex, but go on.
Let me think. Next match, fierce, crazy. Right, I will pick a different map than Clubhouse for the next one.
Well, that's the rule, isn't it, Ollie? If you did choose Clubhouse, if it's not in the auto ban, you know, you're laughing.
You've got to keep doubling down on your bet. And yeah, I would agree, Clubhouse, it really suits both these teams. Whilst it is more strat heavy than other maps that we see, it is a map that most teams are well adept and well equipped to play now.
I think it's going to be a great one for these two. It's, you know, they both know what they're doing on there. It's going to be a case, so let's go and throw down. Let's see who's the best. I think this is going to really bring the best out of both teams here. They've got an opportunity to win this.
But let's see what the people at home have to say and see what they think is going to win this opening matchup. And will it be a close one? Very close, actually. 57.4 in favour of Demise.
Closer than I might have thought, but I think what that goes to show is that Burning Foxes are picking up 1 or 2 fans along the way here, and people are starting to see that they are really developing, grafting, and that they're going to start getting results out of it as well.
I think I'd be very curious between these two teams, Ollie, just how fast both these teams can actually adapt against each other. I think that's one of the main talking points here going to this first map.
Yeah, and it's something that we did see Demise struggling in some ways yesterday, was that adaptation. So let's see how they do today.
First match of the day on Clubhouse, Burning Foxes versus Demise. Guys, take it away.
I would love to, Harry, because I am ready for some Siege. We're going to be heading to Germany and straight into Clubhouse here between Demise and Burning Foxes. It's a big fixture for both teams here. If Burning Foxes can come away with an unexpected 3 points, it absolutely catapults them towards that playoff position, towards the potential for a land spot. Who knows? Could Burning Foxes make a late run for second position? Who knows if they start chaining a few wins together? Demise, however, can even potentially look for a top of the table here, depending on the result out of the second match of the night. So the bans are coming in here. Maverick and Thatcher so far, nothing surprising there, really. I'd say that's pretty much par for the course. Mirror, and then I would imagine Echo or Maestro.
Fairly standard bans indeed, and as you say, Tim, this could be the start of the Burning Foxes run. If you look forward to the future games that they've got in Playday 6 and 7, they're going to be going against Enclave and they're going to be going against Audacity. Now, there are a couple of wins that, with the given form that we've seen so far from Burning Foxes, they could look to take those as victories. So tonight really does mean a heck of a lot for those guys.
Certainly does. Heading to round number 1 then, we're going to be going straight downstairs. Burning Foxes will take us to Church and Arsenal. We've got the Mozzie on there, but we don't have a Mute, we don't have a Bandit or a Kaid, so I would not expect to see, at least certainly not a strong top floor hold. I don't think we're going to see too much presence up on that top floor at all. I would imagine we're going to have a reasonably turtle defence here, especially when Grizzly starts bringing that clash in. Do you think that's there to deal with Dirt Tunnel by any chance?
Potentially. I think the only immediate comment that I would like to make on that is Grizzly with a gun does great stuff. He gets kills. He's capable. Putting him on a shield straight away, I don't know what you're going to gain from that. I've got my eyes wide open and I'm willing to be proved wrong as ever. But you just got to question, have the rest of the team got it in the locker to be able to go out there and get those kills? Because typically we would see him on that operator like the Mozzie that's going to be going out there and getting himself into a little bit of mischief.
It's a bold strategy.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Let's see if it pays off for them. So we are just about to head into the action phase here of round number 1, Demise versus Burning Foxes, and this is a big fixture, make no doubt. Demise, I'm sure, will be coming in looking at this as a potential 3 points, but I won't even call this a banana skin with the way Burning Foxes have been playing. We've seen them coming in. We've had Prophet King, the coach, coming in, and he's very, very confident. We've seen him a couple of times in interviews now, which tells me we've seen a good couple of results for them. And I think they really are starting to grow some momentum now at Burning Foxes, and they're starting to look at these games with some confidence that they can get the result that they want out of them.
I love the thing that they're bringing here with the Clash actually playing upstairs. They're going for real serious time waste here.
This is SSG 2.0.
Well, it is. It's a nice adaptation of a strat that we've seen so many times up to this point. Now, the lack of a mute does beg the question. Look at the drone work that's been able to go ahead now. We've got users. He's going to be droning out there into logistics. He's going to be calling a lot of that as clear. Grizzly already rotated down and is now playing pretty solo inside of stock. So that's a bit of a problem for Rendy. All of a sudden, he's going to find himself very exposed, especially as the nades and the pressure now comes in from Demise. That being said, it is doing a good deal to waste a lot of the round. And if he's only able to pick up 1 kill here, he could do his job. I'm
pretty sure Rendy has got the construction hatch open, and we can see that Grizzly's actually moved up to the top floor just to support him as well. Gorgona with a great opening kill on to Harris there, and that is advantage. Burning Foxes. Rendy will be down there now then. Can the Clash defend him? The ADS certainly can. We've got a third man here on stairs. Needs to be very careful picking Rendy up. Shots will bounce off the shield of Clash. Rendy finds himself back on his feet and back in the fight. We are 1 minute 30 here, and that top floor roam has done a real job, and things get very difficult for Demise now as time starts to tick away quicker than they might like, when they still have hatches to open, they still have map control to gain, and they still have utility to burn on the bottom floor. This is good from Burning Foxes so far.
You can't always pick who you get as the first blood, but to take out the Thermite, that's going to do a great number to further slow down Demise's progress here. Josh is now going to make some decisions as to which hatches get open, and well, he's only got 2 choices. He has to open Moto, and more than likely, he is going to have to open Kitchen as well. That then leaves them with a very difficult choice, because the left dropping hatches and pushing in through this main door. As we can see, this main stairs area now is going to be the main point of focus for Demise. They've just not got many other options. Smoke still able to cut off the push in through Moto, and the Clash still in the fight. Ashra Spot's going to get open and an aggressive peek through, but shut down very quickly by Anarchic. He's looking for a second. Omos is going to get one in the meantime with the Toxic Babe canister swinging out there aggressively onto Josh. He's going to have the shotgun in hand, and we've all seen what that thing can do in this sort of a scenario. With only 20 seconds left, Demise are left fighting for these kills. Anarchic finds one onto Josh, and now it is all down to Dowie. He had a cracking day yesterday, but he's up against a very tough task here. Anarchic going to find that final kill, and a flawless round for Burning Foxes.
My boy Anarchic coming through in absolute spades for his team there, getting a nice 3K to open things up. And what we need to focus on there is not the fact that he got 3. We need to look at that first kill that he got. Ashrush spot gets opened up, and in comes the rush. And guess what? Bang! Stonewall. Anarchic absolutely decimates the first man through the breach, and what do the second do? They turn tail and run, and Anarchic shut that down. Omos then had the opportunity to step up, and they were fighting for kills at that point. Burning Foxes were crawling over each other to try and get at Demise there, and I think that is a very early bloody nose for Demise coming away from that round. They are in for a game. The one thing that I would say for Burning Foxes there that they could maybe look at on that strat was that the top of the triple wall for Church wasn't completely open. Just a few small pieces to allow that impact trick. However, they had Rendy in there with the C4, and we had 3 players stacked up at the bottom of main stairs. Our good friend Desertu loves to call it the kill box. A Nitro comes over the wall from there, and you are suddenly in a very, very different round. So maybe that's something that they can just build into the arsenal of that defense for future, but that is a very, very small criticism in what was an extremely good round from Burning Foxes. Game on!
going flawless in your first round's always going to put you in that confident position. And now we can see that confidence showing through just into the site pick. They're going to gym and bedroom. They're not sticking to the standard rotation. Everyone expects CCTV room and cash to come out next after you've successfully defended downstairs. But no, they're going to take us to a bit more of a tertiary site because these guys are confident, and we can already see they're getting themselves out there and they're really looking to stretch the legs. Demise at this point, they need to focus very heavily on clearing out this roam game. They need to get rid of Grizzly. They really need to get rid of Gorgona outside of Garage. Gorgona already on a little bit of a merry journey downstairs. The basement is usually very free to rotate in whenever you're dealing with a top floor site on Clubhouse. And he's already going to get himself back up those main stairs and rejoin the fight.
It's going to be very important for Demise to be carrying out their due diligence and to be finding Gorgona here, because I can tell you what's going to come. He's going to be looking for runouts. He's going to be going out of both of those strip doors to see if he can pick anybody up on these rooftops. We can see him just nudging his way towards them. Big double coming in from Grizzly there, wiping Josh and Harris off the board. That's a double headshot from him, and that leaves us with both hard breaches gone. 5 versus 3 Burning Foxes, and this one is getting exciting quickly.
We criticised Grizzly a little bit yesterday. He was on the MPX and really struggling to hit his shots, but those headshots still only take 1. And he's done a great job to remove 2 hard breaches there. Pat's going to reply with 2 of his own before getting shut down by Grizzly. He's on a triple now, but instantly traded by Usus. Now a 2 versus 2, so Demise have done a great number, and I think Pat's aggression there has really dragged them back into this, but still a long way to go. They've got Dowie and Usus left alive. Still a lot of utility and a lot of ability to try and execute onto this site, but they're going up against Omos and Rendy. Likely 2 C4s, which could need dealing with.
Little bit of a, gotta say, a little bit of an error there, just allowing Pat to get himself established in logistics like that, but great plays from him, as you say. Nice aggression, just moving in and getting himself a double. But how about that for aggression? Rendy steps up, uses the reverse angle up onto the hatch of logistics. Usus will step in. If anybody can win a 1 versus 2, it is this man right here. Usus gets the first. He knows where the second is, going for a nice rotate now. He's got plenty of time, 40 seconds. Omos is just going to dip himself back into that bathroom wall corridor. He's going to pull the castle down to offer himself more of a rotate. This could be dangerous as Usus moves through. I think he's aware that Omos was just on the far side of that castle barricade. Usus just taking the opportunity of the time available to him here just to assess the situation. Doesn't want to rush himself headlong into the angle that Omos is holding. He wants to try and get that information, find out where he is and make the challenge on his terms. Omos, a little game of cat and mouse here. He's just running himself away. He knows that the diffuser is down. Can he move quick enough? That's the question. He's got himself in a dead end here. He's going to have to take the fight. He sets up. He's got the pistol.
What?
Ultimately will win on time. Usus not able to lock on just to where Omos was, and he's able to waste those final 7 or 8 seconds to get a big second round on Gym and Bedroom. I tell you what, they are coming in and stealing this from underneath Demise's noses.
Gorgona with a bit of friendly fire there. That's why he's on support.
Blue on blue.
Omos not afraid to run away from a fight there. But hats off to him. He made the right call. Diffuser's down on the roof. Usus hasn't got all the time in the world to go and retrieve that and then start to think about breaking it down and getting a plant. So what you're going to do, you are going to run away. I think Omos just getting a bit unlucky there with the destruction on that hatch. I think he'd possibly run out of ammo in the TCSG, and it looked as though it was only 1 shot away from being open because it was pretty well destroyed, but just not quite enough. A round that could have gone either way. But again, a bit more heartbreak for Demise, feeling like things really aren't going in their favour.
We've seen it all the way up to the top level. You're thinking the same round as I am. You're on Consulate, you're Canadian, you're running down the stairs. Guess what? It wins the round. It might not be pretty, it might not be the most beautiful or aggressive way to win a round, but guess what? Burning Foxes are 2-0 up in a match that they wouldn't have been expected necessarily, not to compete, but to come out and win. And they are doing a great job on defence here. They need to get themselves as good an advantage here as they can for when they move on to that attack, but they've sent a strong message to Demise at this point, and they won't care if that's come from running away.
This is a street fight, Tim. You've got to do everything
No
you can
rules
to get
in a
the win.
street
There's
fight.
no rules in a street fight. These two teams going up against each other head-to-head. Every single round here that Burning Foxes can get on the defense gives them more chance of winning this game as a whole. We all know that Clubhouse is defender-sided. That's just a fact. The fact that they're still going out there and picking up these rounds, the first as well, being so convincing. Now they're building that momentum, they're gaining that confidence. All of a sudden, it looks as though they could come out of this split 4-2, which is to be expected. Demise have got to do something here because they really need to start working a little bit better as a team. So far, we've not seen many trades coming out. Sure, we've seen Pat drop and get a 2K and a trade off the back of it, but that isn't enough. We can't just have one single instance of trades where you can think in 2 rounds that have gone ahead. They need to be going out there and they need to be trading off these kills a bit more effectively. Pat's been practicing his aim trainer, shooting that C4. It was a guided missile towards his head there, and I think whoever's C4 it was is going to feel a bit hard done to, but the nades are now going to come in as a response, and well, they can't be shot out. Omos looking to challenge onto it. He's going to be dealing with 2, but getting a bit over-aggressive there, peeks out, and Josh Glitch ready to try and back up his teammate.
That's the one where you click your detonator a few times, isn't it? You're like, click.
Yeah.
No, it's not work. Click. Click, and then you realise that it's gone. We've got Gorgona playing downstairs in the spot that we saw Jonka have so much success with yesterday for Crazy. He's just looking to hold that lounge area, just prevent them getting in and opening up the floor from underneath. Without the Thatcher, something needs to be done to clear those bandit batteries off. That was successful with the nade from the window from Pat, so they just used an alternative technique. As time has gone on, we've seen more and more methods coming in to clear those bandit batteries out without a Thatcher, because we're seeing that Thatcher ban rate going up now. Look at that from Grizzly, just moving so freely around the map and not being pinned down here, and that it could be all or nothing. He could well find himself out in the cold. He needs to take the opportunity now to get himself into a position where he can use that flank, where he can hurt them. I don't think Burning Foxes are doing too badly here. They lost a man early on in Omos. They're still 4 versus 5. 50 seconds to go. They have control over construction area. And they're not making this easy for Demise, put it that way, especially seeing as East Wall is open.
Demise aren't going to be too difficult in too difficult position either. You know, they've got 40 seconds or so remaining and still a lot of control. But like you say, I think there's players on the side of Burning Foxes that are unaccounted for. One of those being Grizzly. Nobody at this point knows where he is. He's got his own drones and he's able to figure out which way he wants to try and push. If he chooses to go up main stairs, he could see some very nice results indeed. Gorgona just looking to challenge now through construction. Second kill for Demise coming through there, followed up by a third. It's a slew of kills. All of a sudden a 5 versus 1 and a flawless round in return. Demise spent a long time setting up, but the map control that they gained really did them a number there.
This is becoming an absolute slugfest as these two go toe-to-toe and just trade blows at this point. We've had flawless rounds on both sides. That was a really fantastic late execute there, just collapsing onto site Demise. They were happy to just wait their turn, wait until they had everybody in position, and then just in the last 15 seconds collapse in and get those kills that they needed. Great plays from Demise, and this is what I like to see. Neither team here really losing rounds. It's about teams coming out and winning them, and that is when we get really entertaining Siege, which is exactly what we're seeing here.
Absolutely. Back downstairs now for Burning Foxes. This is where we saw them have a very successful round over in round number 1. It was flawless for them, but they're bringing a slightly different lineup. Not going for the Clash extended roam.
Not something you necessarily get away with twice.
I mean, you don't want to show it off, Tim.
Users is going straight up there with Zafir this time, just in case, so they've got the tools to deal with it. You know, you've got to, and that's what I like, you've got to iterate, you've got to adapt, you've got to change up, you can't be predictable. You
can't be a one-trick pony in this game. You really need to have multiple ideas of how you want to hold it and just stay unpredictable. Now it looks as though they're going to focus a little bit more on keeping control of some of those hatches. We've got Rendy this time on the Cade. He's going to no doubt try and Cade off onto Moto hatch, although that still hasn't been reinforced. Looks like Grizzly's going to get that now, just a little bit late, but he's got plenty of time and space to do so.
30 seconds nearly gone on, well, 15 seconds. We're heading towards 30 seconds gone on the round. We can see pressure coming in from Strip here. Is Grizzly going to be aware of this? He takes out a drone. He's going to move himself back to main stairs. Very well timed. He could well have hit a lucky headshot as he sprayed into bathroom there, but he will get away with his life, and that is what is most important of all. He's going to head into that main corridor there and just look to potentially use the deployable shield as a bit of cover, peek down towards this main stairs area. But how about this for aggression from Demise? Picking up on that last round, and it was aggression in the late round that did them so well, and they are happy to step in and take gunfights here too on the board for Demise, but Grizzly will stop the rot. Almost with one. Dowie coming in with a double. This is an absolute bloodbath. Gorner gets the first of 3 that he needs. Diffuser going down from Dowie, however, so this is now going to become a 1 versus 2 retake. He's already got 1 kill, but he's on super low health, shooting out the Claymore. They are likely to know where he's coming from as he puts in free fire shots there. He has to do it, but unfortunately it just gives away his position at the bottom of main stairs. He's got about 23 seconds to do something with this. He's going to need to find 2 kills. Pat is on low health, but Dowie looks like he is all the way up there on 100 HP. He doesn't know that Pat is off to his right here as he's going to step through this door. He will lose his life. No! Pat misses the shots to begin with, but gets very lucky as Gorgona moves around. And it was just Pat, just juking, weaving, that managed to keep him alive there and just facilitated that final kill for him. And that's Demise leveling things up. They have woken up here and they are back in the game.
That's probably the quickest we've ever seen an attacker get down into basement on this map, period.
It's usually a last 20-second bloodbath, not a first 20-second bloodbath.
I think 40 seconds had gone,
that was
and all
quick.
of a sudden there were attackers challenging and getting themselves into serious gunfights. It didn't even matter what utility they were bringing at that point. I think if they could have all chosen Ash, they would have all done so just to have a really good weapon. But Demise taking the bull by the horns there and just overwhelming Burning Foxes. They thought they had a lot of time and space to start setting up, and we could see that in the way that they were still reinforcing hatches and stuff at the start of the round. And that's something that you can usually get away with. You don't expect to be under such pressure, but I think it all comes down to the drone work. Demise have planned that from the operator selection phase, and they've said, right guys, drone out the entire map in the prep phase. Right, I'm going to drone this, you can drone that. They've got a whole read on the map, they've realised the entire thing's clear. All right, no worries, let's just push down main stairs. We'll all spawn on the west side, we're going to get ourselves in through Strip, and we're going to challenge onto those main stairs, and we're just going to take this as a head-to-head gunfight, and it's catapulted them back into this. We're now sitting at 2-2, and that momentum that Burning Foxes had in the early part of this game has all but faded away.
And that was the difference between round number 1 and round number 4 there. So round number 1, we saw on Church and Arsenal, we had the Mozzie, we had the clash upstairs. Demise were not able to rush into site in the first 40 seconds and start dropping kills like that because they had to deal with the top floor. It wasted a minute and a half. They got back to site. It was just a much more sort of subtle round from Burning Foxes was number 1. Number 4 was just a bit, let's get everybody on site, sledgehammer to crack a walnut, and it just didn't really work for them. The subtlety of round number 1 really did win out the day for them. But we have certainly got a game here, and at the moment the momentum is definitely favouring Demise. They feel like they've got Burning Fox's number a little bit here. If we get up in their face, if we get up in the grill, that's when they start struggling. If we take those aggressive gunfights, we've seen that in round 3 and 4 at different parts of the round, granted last 15 seconds and then first minute, but the process is the same. Find out where they are, get right up in their face really quickly, get a couple of kills on the board and force them to play on the back foot, and Burning Foxes are going to need to adapt to that quickly. I would suggest smokes, lesions, they're on the board, Goyos, anything they can do to slow down those pushers.
And in contrast, again, we're seeing a very different round coming out here from Demise. They spent a lot of the early part of this round droning out that top floor just to ensure that they hadn't missed anybody hiding in a nook or cranny. But now that they've done that, they've got themselves onto main stairs, still not got any hatches open. There's still a bit of a job to be done there. We do have a Cade on the Moto hatch, which is going to make getting rid of that a lot more difficult because, of course, Thatcher is banned. Rendy as well, playing that position with the Cade. He's going to be able to replace that Cade if it does, for whatever reason, choose to disappear. Sometimes a nade, sometimes a lifeline. It's a difficult angle to find, and you've got to get the explosion just right, but it is possible. You're going to see a bit of utility burnt there as the shield that is covering that main door does get destroyed. And Pat now with one grenade in hand, he's going to look to try and just throw that on down. Destroying a utility, maybe a bit of barbed wire, maybe he's got a bit of information as to a kill that could have been, but it is going to do the job in removing that electrical ore. Rendy now not in a position to get it out, and the hatch will be open, but look at how much time that's taken. Already 55 seconds left on the clock and still a lot of work to do for Demise.
Grizzly here with the smoke shotgun. We know how powerful that weapon can be. We saw it primarily used yesterday. I'm going to bring it up again, X. Mounty Crypt 1 versus 3 in Dirt Tunnel, but Grizzly is very, very capable as well. He peeks round the angle, but he will lose his life, and that is a little bit cheap there from the smoke. He needs to be keeping himself alive into the later round there so he can really make that shotgun effective. That's a great kill from Ormoz onto Harris, so that now leaves us in a 4 versus 4. Pat unable to find one through to Blue Tunnel, but Dowie will have a little bit more success, and Users follows that up with one himself. Josh Glitch finishes things off, and that's another round going to Demise, and Burning Foxes need to do something quickly to stem the flow of blood from their arteries here as they are getting hammered at this point in the last 3 rounds.
I think Demise have finally woken up and they've realised, look, we're a team of gunners. We said it in the pre-game. These guys can shoot straight. They've got multiple members on the side that can shoot straight. Let's just use our gun skill advantage and really take this fight. And that's what they've done. They're now sitting at 3-2. If they come out of this on attack at 4-2, they're going to be really happy given how the early part of this game went. On the side of Burning Foxes, I think this is the time to bring any tricks that you've got hidden up your sleeve, because you really need to do something here to come out at an even 3-3 split.
Wish I could shoot straight.
Just click forwards.
Just click for it.
That's all it is.
Heading into round number 6 then, as you said, X, this is going to be the last defensive round for Burning Foxes here. We're going to see them go to Gym and Bedroom. It was a site that they defended very well last time out. It was round 2. It was the second of 2 rounds that they have won. They did very well. They made it difficult. Grizzly, we have to remember, came in with a big double headshot, first 2 kills to put them at a big man advantage. That's not likely something that is going to be repeated here. So Burning Foxes need to think a little bit further into the round here. How do they play this? 5 versus 5, 5 versus 4. You know, they need to think about that. They need to think about how they control where the push comes from. They need to think about the areas that they suffered to last time. Logistics hatch, Pat dropping and getting a great double for himself. Need to think about all these things, and really they need that big start again. They need Grizzly or Gorgona now to step up. They've been quiet for a few rounds. Let's get a peek, let's get a run out, let's do something to just fire some pace back into the Burning Fox team here.
And that's what they need. They need a little win, because so far things really haven't gone in their favour for the last 3 rounds. As you say, Grizzly, he's likely to not get the chance onto 2 of the hard breaches again, which we saw when we saw this site played in round number 2. But he's still got the opportunity. Playing onto the Valkyrie, he's going to have that information at his disposal. I think out of the 2 of them, maybe Gorgona a bit more likely to see success if he is able to sneak himself out of this strip door. But he's going to choose to rip it down the whole way, and that's going to make quite a bit of noise. Somebody in the vicinity can hear that. It's better to prep those early on into the round, because then you've got the option to be a bit more sneaky with it all. Harris is going to be on repel, but Gorgona not likely to get himself out in time. He could shoot through the soft wall, but maybe just waiting for some intel. He's going to go for the run out now, but Harris is going to be on the roof in enough time. Not sure if Harris was aware that the door got ripped there, possibly, but that exit repel animation can be quite loud.
I get the feeling that he possibly heard that going down and started hammering that exit repel button to get up onto the roof and safety as quick as he could do. We can see Users just playing there on the south side windows, but Grizzly is still active in CCTV. They are aware of him though, and he will take some damage as he tries to peek down along that south wall, and that's exactly what you need to be doing if you want to play a player on the south side windows. You have to have a man over there on the air conditioning units who's watching down to CCTV, or you need to get men in and clear it out. That's not something that Demise have chosen to do, and that is a tough team kill to take. Pat just hitting Users as he tries to move across the front of him there. He's going to look for the challenge on to the Jaeger of Gorgona stood on the bed there, but that is going to be a tough one to take, because it seemed like that was certainly avoidable there, X.
that's costing at that stage. You can't afford to be losing users. There's still Goyo's in play. There's a lot of stuff that Zafir needs to do, and well, it's just not going to get done now, and that's going to put Burning Foxes in a massive advantage, especially with how little time is remaining. The castle barricade is still on the wall to Jim through into the breach wall, and that means that the bandits are going to be safe. Gorgona finds one onto Pat. Pat obviously feeling a little bit bad at what he has done. Gorgona's going to get a second there onto Josh, and well, it's all down to Harris and Dowie. 25 seconds left, going up against the full force of Burning Foxes. We're going to get a kill come out there as a trade. And the last one, ooh, it isn't going to get cleaned up there. Harris is going to continue to fight back as he finds one onto Grizzly. Pre-fire shots coming out, but again, so limited on time. In the 1v3, no one expects you to be prone there. Rendy picks the final kill up, and Burning Foxes can breathe a sigh of relief as they exit the first phase at 3 rounds apiece.
I'm just wondering how many of Demise got an assist counted for when Grizzly got taken out by Harris there. It seemed like they'd all had a pop at him out in CCTV. They'd all done their own little bit of damage, and then Harris just moved in and finished that team effort onto the Valkyrie. But a good round from Burning Foxes exactly when they needed it. That was the one that brought them level on to the attacking phase now, and maybe just gives them a little bit of that confidence back. I think that's what they were lacking in those 3 rounds that they lost back-to-back. They came in so confident and so quick and strong in round 1 and 2, and it just seemed to subside a little bit in the face of the oncoming tide of Demise. But Burning Foxes just managing there to say, we need to slow things down here. You know, they've used their bucket well against the tide, and they've started to manage to turn it there.
Yeah, they're bailing frantically, aren't they?
They really are.
The water was flooding overboard, but now they get into a point where they can just relax ever so slightly. But moving on to the attack, there's still a lot of hard work to do here for Burning Foxes, and they really can't rest on their laurels. They're going to be attacking onto CCTV and Cash straight off the bat. So that is where Demise has chosen to go. Nothing really setting the world alight with the operator selection, not like when we saw Burning Foxes on their first round, bringing the clash and giving us a little bit of something a bit more unusual. Very standard stuff here from Demise. And it's standard because it works. All they've got to do is make sure they keep good control underneath, and that's going to be Josh's job there, along with Pat, as they're going to be playing in that lounge area, looking to really protect users so that he is able to trick onto that wall for as long as humanly possible.
We know how good Dowie can be when given an ACOG, and that's exactly the position he's going to be looking to hold out on that garage catwalk. So it's going to be very difficult for them to shift him out. They're going to have to focus some manpower in order to do that. It looks at the minute like an R-kick is just potentially on his drone there. I think he's just in a position where he's getting up onto the rappel as well. He's just, there we go, he's going to get himself safely up onto the roof now. We'll go and join Rendy and potentially look at dropping and joining on a construction side push. We can see Gorgona moving through quickly now. He's got Omos drawn in ahead for him. Says, I don't need to wait, I'm ready to go into construction here. But we do have him drawn in himself in now. He's going to see the peak hole from logistics, but I'm pretty sure that's going to have been drawn at this point, so they know that that is empty. And now Gorgona, with 2 minutes still on the clock, plenty of time, is going to be looking to move in and take control. Assisted by Rendy on the book there, just getting through, and that is construction theirs now. So they need to think about getting a hard breach in here, clearing that electrification off the construction to cash wall, and then getting a line of sight open up. That is the next step for them.
Then just trying to search out for a yokai drone there hidden in the rafters. But in the meantime, Pat is going to open things up with a double. He gets one with the gun and one with the C4. 2 massive kills there. The Zafir and the Thermite both taken out of action. Now this C4 is going to be coming in from underneath the hatch. It's always something you've got to be careful of, and obviously not enough pressure spent underneath. It was a little bit unusual that Demise had given up so much control, but they obviously had a plan on how they wanted to hold it, and that was going to be vertically. That's something that Burning Foxes didn't really account for. Still trying to search out for these yokai drones, as Anarchic is going to be having a bit of a hard time. Takes a lot of damage there through the window, and now left with just peeking onto very skinny angles. He doesn't want to expose himself again because he's only going to be 1 or 2 bullets. As time ticks down, it's looking increasingly more difficult for Burning Foxes to really make any headway here. Although Rendy's going to start with a nice kill there onto Usus. Grizzly, however, He's stuck. He's downstairs. He's still got all 3 X-Kairos left. Very out of position for the Hibana, but it looks as though he's been left with very little choice. He's now going to try and push himself up those cache stairs. Does manage to get a stun out, burn the ADS, and Rendy will follow a grenade up. Rendy, don't see the man to your left. He does. He gets one onto Josh, but no, he's going to get traded out once again by Pat, who is on a triple. He's then going to get cut down, leaving us in a 2 versus 2. But look at the health on the side of Burning Foxes, and as if like that, we're going to see a 1-for-1 trade once again. Dowie taking out a Narkic, but not before Harris will fall. Grizzly, last man standing. He's going up against Dowie, who has got full health. Diffuser in hand, but it isn't going to matter as the Yokai drone should be there to stop it. But no, the plant will be successful. This is huge for Grizzly, and he's now got a lot of time to get himself out before the slow Echo makes his way up. Dowie has got to now challenge onto this. Sure, he's got a bit of information, but so does Grizzly. He's got a drone that he's going to be able to use there, and this really does come down to a bottle job here. We've already seen Dowie clutch out this on the other side of things yesterday, as he did a great job whilst he was the attacker not peeking on, but now he's got to be the aggressor. And well, Grizzly still with that solid drone information. He's going to see that the defuse is being attempted. He's going to push on up, gunfire will ensue. Dowie takes some damage, but Grizzly gets away scot-free. Dowie still threatening on that diffuser, but look at the time, it is all too late. It's just going to be an impactless frag, and Grizzly picks the round up for Burning Foxes. What an exciting end to that one.
Not only is that a big round for Burning Foxes, that is a big individual play from Grizzly there. I think I'm going to have to say, and I'd be interested to hear from Grizzly, feel free to message me and tell me whether I'm right or wrong here. I feel like there was a little bit of good fortune came into that. I think maybe good decision making. He gave himself, he played the odds, but by getting inside of the small area of wall, inside the single door that blocked the view of the Yokai drone, it basically allowed him to get that diffuser down. Dowie jumped on, he did exactly the right thing on the Echo, got himself away and was able to interact with that plant. He gave himself the opportunity to deny it, but the positioning of the plant just meant that he couldn't get there in time. And then Grizzly played it perfectly, just stepping up and challenging, dipping away, wasting that time, and ultimately getting the kill that he deserved as well.
There's questions to be asked here as well, because we've got Demise, you've got 4 players that are dead. There's only so many cameras that are going to be up at that stage that you need to be watching. One of them is a Yokai drone. You need to know where the attacker is, because at this point, you likely know that he's got the diffuser, and you likely know that he's going to be going for a plant because time's thin, and the people are too far apart to physically get a kill onto it. So why is no one calling to Dowie and saying, he's in the other site, he's inside of cache? Because Dowie's looking around on his drone, still trying to find him. It's like Dowie had no information, but still a camera there. And I think, again, we've got to take hats off to Anarchic, because whilst Grizzly made the right choice, where's that information come from? Has Anarchic said, Yokai drone last seen in CCTV? Grizzlies registered that. I don't know that that's happened, but it's likely because
that's what I'm interested to know. Has that been an active thought process, or has he just dipped inside and thought, there's some good cover behind this brick wall, I'll go for it there? You know, and there's a bit of good fortune. But that's what you need in Siege sometimes. You need that good fortune. You need the old British rubber the green. You need to just take every small opportunity you can get, and that's exactly what Grizzly has done there. And Burning Fox is coming out with an advantage again, and this is really starting off a Playday with absolute fireworks here in the ESL Premiership.
Never refuse a bit of lady luck.
Never.
Bit of lady luck is all
Never
you
look
need
a gift
sometimes.
horse in the mouth. Can we get any more?
We could go on, we could go on. But that's exactly what Burning Foxes needed. They had a shaky middle of this game so far. You know, they lost a couple of rounds on the bounce and they weren't looking as hot on defense as the way that they started. But to come out firing on all cylinders on their first attacking round is exceptional. And they're going to continue that here. Rendy looking to push himself down those main stairs. A lot of drone work has gone ahead. And I think that they've probably deemed that the top floor is clear. Looks as though Dirt Tunnel is going to start to get open now, as Harris is in a position to challenge onto that. But as the smoke, he's likely just going to retreat a little bit. Vertical kill coming out there. Grizzly finding Dowie unlucky. As Dowie was going there for the impact trick. And Grizzly just baiting him out there. He's obviously used one set of X-Kairos, but he's going to be very happy with that. Still has one set intact for maybe Moto Hatch, if that is an option.
Impact trick this. I think is the sentence from Grizzly there, as he absolutely removes Dowie from the map. And let's not forget, that's Legion off the board. Very powerful operator in the late round. The more he survives, the more powerful he becomes, generating more of those goo mines. We are on the new patch here. It's worth mentioning that we do have the Legion nerf in place, so when he moves away from those Legion mines, they will become invisible to him. And also if he moves out of direct line of sight, don't quote me, I think it's if he moves more than 8 meters away, they drop the visibility. And also if he moves out of direct line of sight with them, they can't see. So then it's just reliant on that sort of pinpoint hearing to know, and also an intimate knowledge of where you've placed them and where it's likely to be.
I mean, Dowie's quite lucky because he's probably not going to have that many out to worry about.
He's just got 1 or 2 to think about.
Quite early, but yeah, certainly something to bear in mind. Anarchic finding a nice one there over onto Pat. I think Pat has thrown his C4, but it maybe come to nothing, although there is a good bit of damage on the side of Burning Foxes. Rendy sitting very low, as well as Grizzly, and with Harris still got in some Toxic Babe canisters, there's always potential for a kill there. Josh, however, is going to finish off Grizzly, but he's done a lot of hard work at this point. He can maybe relax a slight bit, as he's done is more than his fair share in this round. Gorgona with the drop, and the plant's going to start going down now. Omos getting it down in the cover of that little alcove. Gorgona with the Overwatch, finding one onto Josh Glitch. Once again, it is all down to Harris as the smoke in this dirt tunnel. We saw some great things for a very similar situation yesterday, but no. Burning Foxes not going to make any mistakes. They're going to pick up that round very convincingly. 2 rounds on the bounce on attack.
No surprise to see a rehost coming in there, so you're going to join us back with my beautiful shirt and X's beautiful face for a few minutes whilst we get the players back into the game. What a match we are having here. For me, I'm just always on the edge of my seat when I'm watching Siege. I just get so excited watching it, and it must be exactly the same for you guys at home. This has been an absolute belter so far. Do not underestimate the potential size. Hands up at home. Who was laughing when I said Burning Foxes might be making a run for 2nd place? Who's laughing now? This is starting to look like a potential reality here. They could well win out their last 3 fixtures. They're 5-3 here. They've got Demise on the ropes. They're hitting them with body shots. They just need to come in now with the big haymaker and go for the knockout.
And they're not far away from doing it. We've seen so far tonight, they're more than capable of that knockout punch. I'd argue they've already delivered a bit of a knockout. Grizzly with the 1v1 onto Pat. It didn't look like he should have won that. He had very low health. He managed to recover the diffuser and get it down, even though the Yokai was the last person alive. That's not really something that you hear of all too often. And Echo should be able to win out that round, but Dowie got a bit unfortunate with his positioning. And well, we saw the round going to Burning Foxes. They've then doubled down on that, winning downstairs in Arsenal. And now they're looking pretty unstoppable. Where are they going to get taken next?
I put myself in Demise's shoes here, and I'm thinking, in their heads, they must now be going through, what do we need to do? Demise have played well. Don't take that away from them. They had 3 very good rounds back-to-back, and they looked solid. They're hitting shots. They're just getting outplayed at the minute. That's the top and bottom of it. Burning Foxes are coming in, and they're matching that aggression. They're not scared. They're not playing scared. They're getting in there. They're taking those gunfights, and they're winning rounds. They are taking rounds away from Demise. They are not being given them. And Demise, at this point, must be getting a bit demoralised with that, thinking, you know, what do we need to do? You know, we're getting in, we're getting some good players. We saw Pat with a great double. Gun, Nitro, following up, absolutely fantastic from the Valkyrie. Still lost the round, and that's got to be tough to take. It really does have to be tough to take.
And it's difficult when you feel like you're putting in a good performance like that, and you're doing your bit, and you're pulling your weight, you're getting those multi-kills, but the whole
you
team...
and I in ranked.
It is.
I'm pulling my weight, I'm doing the work, and I'm carrying him. It's tough. It's tough mentally.
I don't believe that for a second. I know that you're lying now. But I think big question here for Demise. Let's look back to when things weren't going in their favour, should I say, in the early part of this game. Burning Foxes came out and won 2 rounds back-to-back. Very convincingly. We had a flawless round. We had a slightly closer 2nd round, but still won the rounds. Now, Demise then, when they went back downstairs on attack, they just rushed. And they were downstairs within 50 seconds, overwhelming Burning Foxes. And Burning Foxes didn't really know how to deal with that. And that's not to say that they're not great players, but they just weren't anticipating that level of aggression that Demise are capable of bringing. After this little pause, I think that's how Demise have got to go. They've got to be firing on all cylinders. They can't be resting on the laurels. Get aggressive on defence. And
that's going to be very difficult to do because they've just been beaten up a bit in the last few rounds, and now they're having to cool off, step away from the machines. You know, everything's just, they're not able to sort of keep any momentum at all. So to come back in there at 100 miles an hour is difficult now. Whereas if you're the Burning Fox boys, you're buzzing at this point. You're ready to go. You know, they're going to be tap, 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 get me back in. I'm ready to go. I'm hot. I want to start hitting some more shots. And if Burning Foxes can carry that sort of aggression forward, they're going to be on match point quickly here. I can tell you that now.
Oh, Grizzly's going to be climbing the roof.
Yep.
He's going to be absolutely trying to wriggle out of his own skin. But back into game we now go. Burning Foxes 5, Demise 3. Who would have thought this would be the scoreline in this fixture? Such a close one, so much entertainment here, and Demise now looking for answers. Are they going to find those answers inside of CCTV room and Cash, Tim?
Yes.
Bold.
Yes, I think they are. I think we're probably going to see a better defence come out here from Demise. We've already seen them lose this one with the Echo positioning, and I think that was, you know, I will call it, I think it was a little bit unfortunate for Demise. I think even if that Echo drone is a couple of feet to the left, it has enough of an angle to then hit the backside of Hibana just to clear that plant attempt, and I think it was a very, very tight angle, and it was very unfortunate for them to lose out on that one. It was a good defensive round. As I said, Pat came in with a big double to open things up. Nothing was done about him underneath. And if that happens again, he will punish them again. Simple as that. We also had Dowie out on the garage catwalk. Very difficult to deal with. Kept himself alive into the late round. As I've said, was a little bit unlucky with the positioning of that Yokai. Maybe needs a little bit better comms, as you suggested, X, from his team. Just telling him where he needs to relocate that to.
Maybe Omos got into Demise's head super early with that quote. Maybe Demise are a little bit shaken from the quote earlier on and just questioning the abilities of the coach.
Sternab's lost his way already. Is that what you're trying to say to me, X?
Potentially, I don't know, but I think there's certainly some investigating to be done there.
I think it's a bit of a hasty decision that I think, you know, we know how capable Sternab is in his position, and I think we need to be giving him all the time he needs to work with Demise here. We can already see a change in Demise over the last couple of games. You can see that they've got that extra focus, as Sternab said, working on those foundations. And you can definitely see that that work is starting to pay off. They're just coming up against a good team here, and that's what I really want to paint a picture of. Burning Foxes are coming in and winning this. Demise are not necessarily losing it. They're both, as teams, playing very well, and Burning Fox just on top of it. I think Demise are going to bring this one back to 5-4, and we're going to have a close game. I can see this going all the way to 12 here, and I think it deserves it.
I think it deserves it. You know, it wouldn't be us without an all-the-way game. You know, we didn't really see one yesterday, but there's certainly potential for both these teams to keep on going. One thing that I hope is that Burning Foxes adapt a little bit and they recognise that that hatch is open and that Pat is going to be looking to get away with a cheap couple kills yet again, because that's exactly what he did in the previous round when we saw this site. Now, in contrast, Pat has actually got himself away into Cash, so that hatch is no longer an option, but he's still making his way down those Cash stairs as he looks to try and impact below.
That's it, and you know, the impact from below we've already seen successful, and that's something that Burning Foxes need to be very aware of. We've got Rendy out in logistics again. We saw this last time around. He's opening up the same rotation to get himself into construction and gain control over that side of the map. That's going to be in place now. Josh Glitch all the way downstairs. Now, this one is one of those gamble plays. It's one of those rolls of the dice. It's all or nothing. You either play the round 5 versus 4 because Josh Glitch comes in and does absolutely nothing, or he comes in with a 3K on the flank and it was the best play you've ever seen in your life. And that is something we need to keep an eye on with the Jaeger there. How much of an impact does he have in the round? If Josh Glitch is killed without getting anybody here, he hasn't wasted any time and he's left his team 5 versus 4. That's the reality of the situation. So I'm not saying the round completely hinges on him, but he does leave his team at a disadvantage, and it starts paying as Grizzly comes in with a kill onto Users. That's now 5 versus 4 in actual terms, but with Josh Glitch still downstairs, it's effectively 5 versus 3 on site. And Burning Foxes can start thinking about getting themselves into Cash Room here. We can see that they've got Pat and Harris pushed all the way back out into CCTV and onto Cash stairs, and so they can start thinking about site control and even a potential plant.
Burning Foxes desperately need that east wall open now, because if they had that, there will be nowhere to hide for these defenders. But as it stands, it's still very winnable here for Demise. We've got live ping information coming out. Pat's going to find one onto Gogona. The grenade from Rendy is going to miss, and that's going to be his last one. We're seeing a slight rotate from Omos there, maybe looking to get himself over to try and open up that east wall. Grizzly finding a triple on the round as he's doing a very good job here. He's won out that engagement downstairs onto Josh, but Demise are dragging it back. Dowie once again fighting tooth and nail, but it's going to be Pat on the triple as he does take out Grizzly. All now rests in the hands of Omos, and Pat, he's going to make it a quad. Exceptional round there from Demise. Just a little bit too slow from Burning Foxes. They won out some important gunfights, but that east wall's got to get open quicker.
We commented on it before coming in, how important Pat was. The first time we saw this round defended, and he comes out there, and he's even more important this time. He says, you like that? Have a bit more of it. And he comes out with a big 4K on the round to get that one on the board for Demise. I just had a feeling they were going to drag themselves back into it. This match does not scream that anybody's getting themselves a 3-round advantage, so no surprises there for Demise to pick that one up. But this is the one where they've been struggling down on Church and Arsenal. We've seen good attacks from Burning Foxes, and they're going to be going in there confident of getting themselves on to match point here. But let's have a look at the Demise players. Dowie, Pat, take a bit of a bow at this point because they are stepping up for their team. How many times have we named that duo? How many times have they been the last alive? How many times have they been coming in with the big multi-kills and firing their team back into things?
Demise's roster is really dangerous because there's any one of them can start going off. We look at Usus, more than capable. Pat, showing himself and proving himself in this game in the last 2 rounds alone. Dowie, great day yesterday, really good consistent day today. Harris as well, so consistent on that support role. And Josh, a lot of potential to get out there and cause a bit of mischief. It's a dangerous roster. You don't necessarily need them all firing on all cylinders, but I think now in this fixture, you do. You need everybody stepping up to the plate and everybody putting their shift in. And so far, Pat is really putting the team on his back.
That's it. Both teams just absolutely going at each other now. You can see, of course they wanted to win the fixture coming into it, but I feel like they just want to win it 10 times more now. They both know that they've had a good performance. They both know that this one is theirs for the taking potentially. And I'm right in what I'm saying there. It is for either team to come in and win this. There is no clear favourite here. Demise, I'm sure, will be keen to get themselves back to 5 apiece. I've just got a feeling if this goes 5 apiece, Demise take a little bit of an advantage there. And I just think in this late, this late match position heading into round 11, if things are level, that helps Demise more than it helps Burning Foxes.
You really can't count Demise out at any point, even fighting from behind. They've proved that they're capable of doing so. And as you say, at level, they start to look like they've got a slight edge here. Burning Foxes just need to concentrate on their game. They've been doing a really good job, and I like the way that they're taking this attack so far. Okay, it is a little bit slow in what they are doing. The nasty pre-play C4 there could prove a bit of a problem. Harris threatening with a bit of a pre-fire out of the breach, but almost not being caught short there. Powerful positions being held on site here as Demise are almost preparing for this siege. They know what's coming. They know that there's a lot of pressure on its way. A lot of pre-play C4s going out for the Demise guys here as well. And quite surprising that Anarchic hasn't cottoned on to any of those because they're very easy to shoot out with the IQ scanner and essentially just the loss of so much utility so freely. But it's still doing a little bit to slow Burning Foxes down as they're only just starting to pressure down at the bottom of those main stairs. Still a little bit of utility to fight through, and now we do see Anarchic coming in. He's going to start to call out some of this utility, of which there is quite a lot on the side of Demise. Still struggling to get that hatch open inside a kitchen, although now it looks as though with a nice grenade, it's going to be open very easily. Rendy just choosing to pocket that grenade. He knows he doesn't need to waste it. There's nobody threatening the impact trick just yet.
That pre-place Nitro will come to nothing. I think you know that if you've ever seen my Twitter, you know I love a pre-place Nitro. The tension is just delicious waiting for it to be detonated and see if they have any joy with it or not. They won't in this occasion. The Muter's done his job though and wasted at least one of the Thermite exothermic charges, but here comes the drop. Hibana will drop into sight. Grizzly has been absolutely lethal so far. Anarchic starting things off once again. We've seen it time and time again. Josh Glish will, however, trade him out this time. Almost getting the diffuser down, but 3 kills coming in quick succession for Demise. Ormoz will be successful in getting that one down, and this is all for Grizzly and Ormoz. He will survive and get a kill to boot. Here it comes, Grizzly on to Harris, and now we are 2 versus 2 with the diffuser down. This round is anybody's. Burning Foxes can step up here. They can get themselves on to that match point. Users has taken himself upstairs to try and get some vertical control. Josh Glitch gets himself a second on the round. That's onto Grizzly. He has got 13 seconds to do something about this. Both men drop to side. This has to be possible to keep Ormoz locked in, and he will be taken out with time on the clock to disable the diffuser. Demise, clutch victory from the jaws of defeat. They will clear out the planted diffuser, bring themselves back to 5-5 with 2 rounds in a row. I really think that they've got some momentum that could carry them over the winning line here. I honestly don't want to see either of these two teams lose.
I don't want to stop.
I just want to, let's just play 36 rounds of this.
Infinite overtime, question mark. This really is entertaining stuff. Demise, like you say, clutching themselves into that one.
I'm just going to settle you down now, X, by pointing out that we've got Crazy and Fierce coming next, so that'll be a quiet affair to look forward to.
At least that's not got the potential to go to a draw as well.
At least that's not going to be 12 rounds of absolute craziness. Or fierceness. Who knows? There's no script here. So heading into round number 11 though, and we are 5 apiece at this point, and Demise are battling their way back into this. They really are fighting tooth and nail here, but it's what a great story of development. That at the beginning of the season, if you'd have had Burning Foxes versus Demise, looking at the rosters on paper, you'd have said Demise win every single time. But Burning Foxes have got themselves to a position here where Demise are having to fight to keep themselves in it.
And seriously fight as well. It's not just a little bit of a tussle. This is an all-out heavyweight brawl. Burning Foxes, after that victory over Secret, they've just gone from strength to strength, and they're continuing that this evening. Really fighting for contention. That last round, again, could have been anybody's. There was only about 5 seconds left on the diffuser as Josh was already diffusing. So you're talking seconds there, and he would have been too late to even get it off. Users on the rotate, it was hero or zero. He was either going to be praised for winning the round, or he was going to run out of time.
I think almost caused himself a problem by moving into Dirt Tunnel.
What is it about Dirt Tunnel?
If you're in a 1 versus 2, you can't position yourself in Dirt Tunnel because Demise, you could practically see the glee as Users positioned himself with the kid. I'll just watch Dirt Door. That's absolutely fine. I'm just going to watch Dirt Door. You get on the diffuse. It literally is as simple as that. It's A plus B equals C at that stage of things. And Ormoz, I think if he could have that round over, he'd probably play those last 5 seconds a little bit differently.
Very difficult position to be in, and I think they did well to get the plant down anyway. The
it's easy for me to say.
Incredible.
It's easy for me to say.
But you're a Thermite main, so you're in them positions all the time.
Nah, I get the diffuser down. It's somebody else's problem. It's somebody else's problem to look after it, and that's why we lose so many rounds.
The fight for Jacuzzi Wall is well underway. Grizzly opening things up with a nice one onto Harris. That's going to remove the Goyo out of play. Shield's still alive, but no C4 and no dangerous TCSG, which we often do talk about as being a little bit of a problem. Almost there, just going to spot out a bit of utility inside the gym, setting up some pre-placed drones for his team to use later on into the round. Information now for Grizzly that someone's perhaps playing inside of construction, as he's causing a bit of a nuisance. Unusual for the Hibana to be so out of position, but still in a very good position to try and impact. We've already seen he's just capable of getting those kills with the gun, and obviously likes using Hibana for the privilege. Pat just going to get away after a little skirmish downstairs with Grizzly, but now he's been allowed to push his way all the way up main stairs. This is a really difficult position to be in because unless you've got a lot of information, you don't really know which way to peek. He's just going to take the heads-up play and go for the swing, looking to challenge on very aggressively, but does get cut down. Josh Glitch is going to be the one that finds that kill from over inside of construction, and well, Grizzly just maybe getting a bit too aggressive there. Rendy now going to be the one to push on him, but no, it's just all pushing into the same angle. Users finds one, almost trades it out, but a lot of damage has been done there, and you can't help but think that Demise have come out better from that little engagement.
Josh Glitch is quietly having a very big game for his team here, but Dowie is going to slow peek and get absolutely annihilated by Gorgona there. Josh Glitch just commented on him, comes through with an important kill onto an R-kick, and Ormoz will go down as well. Gorgona now finds himself 1 versus 2, and those two are having the games of their lives at the minute. Pat and Josh Glitch will close that one out, and it will be the C4 to finish things off, and it is going to be Demise that guarantee themselves the draw and give themselves the opportunity to take the match here. Will Burning Foxes get what they deserve and take a point out of this map? And they really do deserve it.
Both teams deserve a point here. Both teams deserve 3. They've both played exceptionally well, but Demise, 3 rounds back-to-back. They've come in with the right mentality after that short tech pause. And Burning Fox is as close as they've been. You can see the frustration. Grizzly playing in that way. Again, it's a hero or zero play. He either gets the kill onto users inside of stock and logistics, or he doesn't. It turns out he doesn't. They've lost all that positioning. Had he got the kill, he could have moved on and started to challenge onto Josh. It was just so crucial in the later part of that round. It didn't happen that way. There was no contingency for that kill to be traded. There's a hatch in that room. Why isn't it open? Why isn't it getting pushed from 2 sides?
Josh not being the only man there, not pushed who maybe should have been. Pat downstairs. Grizzly had the opportunity to chase down the Valkyrie. He's going up against an MPX. He's going up against a P shooter at range. He's on the Hibana. We know that he can win that fight, but he allows Pat to move away and get himself back onto site. He should have been at his heels. He should have been hassling all the way up through CCTV and Cash. He shouldn't have allowed him back in there, and he should have gone and chased down that kill. Just a bit more aggression there from Grizzly would have really helped the situation. Ultimately, those were the 2 players left on the board at the end, and they really did hurt Burning Foxes there.
And it's a shame because you talk about aggression. He showed loads of aggression pushing onto users, and then no aggression pushing onto Pat. It's about tempering it and understanding when you need to turn it on and when you need to turn it off. It's so easy for us to sit here and say all this because we've got the spectator view. We can see everything that's going on, and you know, with no criticisms at all. Still exceptional plays, and again, spoke about it earlier. Demise, all of them are capable of popping off. What's happening now? Josh, I think he's 5-1 after the break. He's come out here, all guns blazing. You can see there. Thank you, Alex. 5-1. All of a sudden, really stepping things up for his team and starting to take a bit of the weight off Pat. But Pat isn't slowing down either. He's still 5-1. So Demise on a bit of a tear in this later half.
It's interesting when you look across both of the teams. It's like you've got comparative players on each side. You've got Anarchic and you've got Josh Glitch, both quietly going about the business, but doing very important work for their team and stepping up when they really need it. You've got Grizzly and you've got Pat coming out with those big opening kills and the multi-kills really firing the team and dictating the pace of this game. We're almost a minute here into round number 12. Burning Fox is going to be fighting hard to get a round win here on Cash CCTV. They're going to get themselves into construction once again. We've seen them do this successfully a number of times. It looks like we're just getting some electronics called out there by the looks of things and just trying to clear them out. But construction's a very difficult room to do that because of those exposed beams. There's a lot of places where the electronics can just be hidden away and you've got to sort of expose yourself to get the angle to clear them off.
How many Siege players does it take to find the black guy? Obviously all of them. Even the IQ. I think it has been destroyed now. The Burning Foxes can relax ever so slightly. Still a lot of work to do. They've got a bit of control of construction, but we've all seen how this goes. Round after round, this has been the same way that they have decided to push. Not really showing as much attention as I would like to see onto that east wall, as Grizzly essentially leaving his team in a 4v5 now. He's outside, and he has got no option to get that wall open while the Bandits are still in play. Pat starting things off once again. Big kill onto Anarchic. It's going to remove the IQ and any future ability to seek out those electronics, and I think there's still a couple of Yokai drones remaining.
I just had a feeling that this one was going to start edging toward Demise. As I said, if they got that 5-all, it was likely to go in their direction, and I think experience is a key factor there. They're not getting overexcited. They're still playing a very solid, a very tight game here, and Burning Foxes maybe just a little fatigued. It's been a very long, very arduous fixture with a lot of trading back and forward and a lot of work to try and keep themselves on top, but they have certainly still got an opportunity here, but they have, if nothing else, put up a great display of themselves, almost getting one onto Pat though, and that now leaves us 2 versus 4, and it is all to do for the boys from Burning Fox. Omos and Gorgona both now have taken damage, and we can see Demise are just happy to hold their angles here. They've got all the power positions they need, and they're going to see out this last 15 seconds and force Burning Foxes to move into those difficult locations. We can see Omos is down there. The diffuser goes onto the ground cold with him, and that will leave Gorgona to pistol users as he comes through the door. A bit of good fortune for him there, trying to hit somebody out on the Cash stairs, but it won't be enough as Demise come in and take round 12, and that is a 7-5 win. And unfortunately, all the history books will ever show is a Demise win there, and it just will not tell the story of an epic battle between 2 very evenly matched teams, and what an entertaining game of Siege we've just had.
The scoreboard rarely does justice, but in this case, it really, really doesn't do enough justice for Burning Foxes. What a fight those guys have put up. I think out of all the teams that we've seen in Prem, that's probably one of the bigger upsets so far. Really didn't expect them to go as hard as they did today, but they deserved every single round they got.
That match, it's been a while since I loved every single round during that entire match. There wasn't one I disliked at all, and I did feel like Demise were a little bit unlucky to start off with. The first round, opening frag, I lost to Thermite, and then I lost both hard breaches the second round. It wasn't going their way, but when I noticed they were making that comeback and sadly users lost that 1v1 in the second round, that's why I started thinking to myself, okay, Demise are still looking quite good, even though they don't have the tools on the table.
And Demise look really good. They look great out of the gate. They didn't look brilliant in the first 2 rounds, or that being said, they had a slow start, and I think had they had a quicker start, the result might have been a little bit more different. But Burning Foxes got so much momentum so quickly and so much confidence, and we all know what that does for players.
What I liked to see from Burning Foxes there was their resilience. They lost 3 rounds on the bounce, round 3 to round 5, but they didn't get knocked by it. They came back, they took round 6, leveled things up, and then came out really aggressive and strong on the attack. And that is showing, again, great depth and growth for the team. And I'm sure that even with the loss, they can come away happy with that. And I'm sure Prophet King is going to be happy as the coach there to say, actually, there's lessons we can learn there, but what a great game of Siege we've just played.
Burning Foxes, during that second half, their attacking side was looking so good, and I was even getting to a point where I was worried if Demise could adapt to this, because it was looking very strange. They were a little bit unaware in certain circumstances, considering it was 3-all in the first half. But during that second half, they managed to get the 4 rounds back-to-back and managed to realise the mistakes and corrected them straight away.
Absolutely. I think everyone's really been pushed there. It's rare we see a game of Siege where every single player has been pushed to the absolute limit. And it's certainly on the side of Demise, because those guys have really fought back. There were multiple points in this game where you thought Burning Foxes was just going to walk away with it, but they've really stepped themselves up to the plate. And that's important, because mentally this is a massive step for both these teams. Demise have been really heavily pressured here and had to really book their ideas up. And on the other side, Burning Foxes, they've seen what they are capable of, and they need to believe in themselves a little bit more now, because there's more to see out of this team.
Yeah, I've got so much written down, I don't even know where to start or where to begin. It was just, every round was so crucial, and you really could notice it was meant so much to them. Even with Burning Foxes, even in that 2v4 and the plant downstairs, they still managed to get it planted, but then again, it was just one of those cases where they had the angles, but sadly, it just didn't come in the end for them, Ollie.
No, it didn't come in the end, and, you know, Burning Foxes, they don't need to be too disheartened about that, because they put up a great account of themselves. Demise, however, they were the team that adapted a little bit better on the day. They maybe had a couple more standout performances from some players. Pat in particular, really can't go without mentioning him.
Both teams have just played a huge part in one of the most fun matches I've seen in ESL Premiership for a long time. And we see a lot of fun matches, so that is really speaking volumes for it. Honestly, that is one of the most enjoyable games of Siege that I've cast. I really thoroughly enjoyed, and I could have, as we said, watched that all night. I'd have loved to see them teams just trade back and forward, because there really wasn't much to separate them. And I tell you what, if in this next fixture there is a draw and Demise go top, they have earned, hard fought every single point of that.
I feel like Burning Foxes, that was a must-win for them, considering their circumstances in the table. But yeah, you're absolutely right. You hit the nail on the head straight away. Every round, there wasn't one round I disliked. It was just all so good. It was so thorough, and it was great to see. But make sure you vote for your player of the match at ESL UK. It is Pat, Josh, and Grizzly. Grizzly had some great moments, but I still think about Pat in that 4K.
It's a difficult one to call. I'd struggle to decide, basically, who I would want to be the player of the game. I think maybe Pat. I think he had a massive impact. Josh steps it up as well, though.
I think Grizzly probably wins that if Burning Foxes win the fixture.
Without a doubt.
I think Pat comes in very importantly with Demise winning the fixture. But I called Josh Glitch out as well. He had a great second half particularly. But I think if you look through the whole match, you'll see quiet contributions from him throughout. Great plays from Josh Glitch as well.
Yeah, fantastic stuff for most of those players throughout the entire game. But we do, well, believe it or not, actually, Demise do have a coach, and it is Sternab, and we are going to be interviewing with him to see what he thought. But my word, what a game, Sternab. That was absolutely ridiculous. And what was your mindset before the game even began?
So I was a bit thrown off by the map bans, because we both played Consulate last week, which means Coastline got auto-banned as the random pick. which Coastline's a very good map for us, I think. So that was really, really annoying that was getting taken out. But, you know, that's just the luck of the draw. We made it work anyway. I successfully predicted that they were going to take us to Clubhouse. So spent pretty much all day today just going over that with the guys and saying, okay, this is what they do in Clubhouse. They changed a lot about what they do. Not all of it, but they did change a lot. So, you know, props to them for being able to turn that around so quickly since the last time they played Clubhouse. But it wasn't good enough.
Yeah, normally you're quite good with your map ban, so that's a bit of a strange one, but at least you made the assumption it could be Clubhouse as well. Do you feel like you was a little bit unlucky at the start? Because losing your Thermite in the first round and losing both your hard breach, it must have been a bit of a kick in the backside.
Well, it's annoying when it happens to start with, but they knew to expect the spawn peaks. They did that against M&M as well. So we were kind of expecting them to be pretty aggressive early on as well. So, you know, you lose your hard breaches, yep, cool. We just adapt to it. It wasn't a site where it was essential to have the hard breaches up, and we almost made it work anyway. So, you know, it wasn't that bad. I just want to quickly mention that I'm wearing 3 jackets because Prophet King wears 2 jackets. So I thought if I wore an extra jacket, then I can be just a little bit better than him.
I don't imagine how many jackets you'll wear by day 7, but I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. But, you know, you were talking about your adaptation, like, throughout the game. During the second half, of course, Burning Fox, if they took those first 2 attack rounds, it was looking a bit worrying there. What changed for your team going throughout the rest of the round? Because in the end, you got 4 back-to-back, and that was unheard of, considering you're defender-sided.
Yeah, so we kind of went over what they normally do on their attacks, but for some reason, I mean, I guess, you know, good on them to be able to change everything, but we immediately recognized what we did wrong. You know, Dowie made a very small mistake that was based on kind of a miscommunication during. So we had a warm-up scrim before, and there was kind of a miscommunication of how Dowie should play that position. So that's not on Dowie, that's on us because we didn't communicate it properly. But, you know, eventually he did correct that mistake, and we came back and we kind of realized what attacks they were doing, and after that it was pretty easy to counter it, so I wasn't worried at all. But the main reason we won that match was purely about Pat, not just because of his 1v4 as well, his great performance, but purely because of his in-game calls. So Harris is our main IGL, but Pat is doing all of the adaptation, and that game was pure adaptation, just looking at what Burning Foxes are doing and just adapting on the fly what they're doing. I'm coming in and talking about stuff that they're doing on stream. Obviously, I'm on a bit of a delay, so it's not that easy for me. But yeah, Pat, if you're going to vote anyone as MVP, he was purely responsible for winning that game for us.
Yeah, he did phenomenal work for the entire game. It was absolutely unheard of. And last question from me. You got Fierce next week as your, well, possibly one of your last matchups. Now, it's probably going to be between you two to actually go for that top 2 spot. And how are you feeling, well, approaching into that match?
Well, I'm pretty confident even if we do lose that match, because the playoff spot, now that we've secured our 3rd place, that should be a cakewalk. But ideally, I don't really want to go to playoffs because I don't want to show how we ban in a best of 3. So yeah, the first game's going to be interesting. Unfortunately, Pat's not going to be with us for that game. So the adaptation might not be there as hard as it was today. Instead, Melons is going to be playing, who's our dedicated sub. He's going to be coming in, and we'll see how that works with him. So he's going to be scrimming with us from basically today onwards, and we're going to be going over loads of stuff with him. But we've got plenty of time to prepare for Fierce, because of course we don't play against Secret this week. And, you know, I'm pretty confident we should be able to take it.
Well, you've got at least a week now to make sure you prepare for that anyway, and I'm sure you will do with all that VOD research. We know what you're like anyway, but congratulations once again, and I'm sure we'll see that 4th jacket possibly next week.
Hopefully.
But there's like half points from you guys. He's wearing extra jackets because Prophet King's wearing a different one. He's a cheeky bugger, isn't he?
I think that was a really good account there, and I think props to Sternab for giving Pat so much praise.
Yep, he deserved it.
Obviously, we don't get to see that side of things and the in-game calling and all that sort of stuff, so to get that insight, it really is quite interesting.
And to be doing that whilst hitting kill after kill after kill.
Exactly.
That's a big performance.
Yeah, because we don't normally talk about Pat too much in previous games anyway, but he really showed up, and it just shows that every one of his members is so vital here.
Oh, absolutely, and I wouldn't like to be Melons next week because he's got a bit of a tough job.
Big shoes to fill.
Massive shoes to fill.
Well, hopefully he managed to fill them, but we'll find out at a later date. But Crazy versus Fierce, our next matchup. The one to watch maybe, considering the last game was actually pretty good, but we'll see if that makes up for it coming soon. And welcome back to the Rainbow Six Siege ESL Premiership, where our first game was an absolute nail-biter, but you wait till you see this second match between Crazy and Fierce. Joining me again, Troik and Ace. Let's start from the beginning, shall we say. So let's go back a few weeks. They had a best of 3 in that Challenger League qualifiers. Who came up on top? Crazy did, but only 2-1. Only managed to edge it in the end. So it shows Fierce have a lot in the tank, but also Fierce, it's their main focus will be the Prem now. So, you know, this game is going to be an absolute cracker, Ollie.
It's going to be a good one, and like you say, Fierce is solely focused on the Premiership now, so that gives them a lot of room and a lot of space to work with the strategies, and they're going to be able to show certain things, and, you know, it gives them a little bit of an edge there. But is that going to be enough tonight? I'm not quite sure.
I feel sometimes like Fierce are a tale of two teams. You don't always know which one you're going to get, and if their A game turns up, they could really stretch Crazy. They could beat Crazy. Believe that. This is going to be potentially a real brawl between the two of them. Kayak, Prox, Tyrant, Blair, Reese, all names that we're very familiar with, all very, very capable, and doing great work as a roster together as well.
And you can remember Tyrant, his fragging ability was absolutely ridiculous. Like, you know, every single game so far, he hasn't had a day off. He's literally just been on it like a car on it every single time without fail. And he's an absolute madman here. But hopefully we see that consistency from him in this game as well, Ace.
Yeah, that's it. You know, we always want to see that consistency building, because what we want is big names. We want big names on every team that we know coming into games that Usus is going to perform, that Prox is going to come in and control the game and dominate things. And that's what we want. We want that consistency. So we know what to expect and we know what to get excited about.
Yeah, it's going to be some cracking stuff. And of course, the roster of Crazy, definitely one to look out for. And every single name on that board is just absolutely crazy. You know, no pun intended, but then again, you see Madman, at least he's still sticking back to his English version of his name, but Dats, again, another man. But when I say Dats, but it's every single one of them. It's so hard to shut down here, Wally.
It's pick your poison, you know, they're all capable players, they're all exceptional, they've all had the clutches, and they all have their off days as well. And now I imagine that they're all going to be showing up today. They had a fairly easy go of things yesterday against Enclave, 7-1. So they weren't really too pushed. They probably fit a couple scrims in around that as well, because they did play last. So they're going to be well rested and they're going to be up for today. And I think they recognise just how important it is, because something that is quite interesting, Crazy had a bit of a rough week in week number 1. They did let a lot of rounds slip. Now, if this all does come down to a little bit of round difference, particularly a head-to-head round difference, that's going to mean quite a bit. So they need to get a good victory over Fierce tonight.
For a second, my brain immediately thought then, when you said that they fit some scrims in and around it. I thought you meant like in between the rounds.
In between rounds.
That's what happened in my brain. Like, I don't think they took it that easy. You know, I'm pretty sure they had more of a game on their hands than that. But looking at the roster, we said it yesterday. Enclave came in. They got themselves into a good 2v2 on Cash and CCTV, as I remember, and they had garage control and started to push in. And I commented at the time, I feel bad for him. You're pushing in your 2v2. You've got Nathan and Packbull. That's who's left. And it's just so difficult, and you could pick any of them two names. You come in, you've got Madman and Dats, you've got, you know, Packbull and Jonker. You're always going to struggle, and they really do have quality and depth throughout the roster.
So what you're trying to say, it doesn't matter what combination it is between whatever two players, you know, you're not going to have a great time, which, you know, to say the least, not expected in the slightest. But let's have a look at what people think at home, a little bit earlier than usual, just to see what people are feeling at the moment. But that's a huge margin for Crazy, 76.5% there. And no surprise, really, you know, it's been a very long time since they've actually lost a game. So, you know, I think they're assuming that it's going to be the same as what happened in the CL quarters.
I think whilst there's no surprise, I think there's still a couple of people maybe sleeping on Fierce. If there's one team to do it, it's going to be Fierce.
I think that's probably the lowest that Fierce are ever going to see in that sort of poll. You don't quote me on it because I really don't know all of Fierce's previous posts, but yeah, I think that's probably the lowest that you're going to be seeing for a poll for Fierce there. Usually they've got more support than that. There's a lot more belief in them. Like you say, I think that's probably largely down to the Challenger League meeting previously. But don't sleep on Fierce. There's going to be a game here. That much is for sure. Me and X are casting it. It's going all the way. We know that. We're going from 12 to 24 rounds now.
Night,
Step 2. There's no early nights here, Harry. There's not one.
No, I've noticed that, and I think it's going to happen tonight as well. It's not going to be an early night in the slightest. But that was the poll before the map was even chosen. So now let's go to the ban phase and see what you guys think. Ace, I'll start with you this time round. Tell me what you're thinking.
This is a really tough one. Clubhouse and Consulate go out. I did promise I wasn't going to pick Clubhouse. I did know that it was going to be on the default. I remembered that it was played yesterday, so I knew that wouldn't be the case. Really difficult one because they're both capable on a lot of the maps, and I think they'd both be willing to play those strategy maps as well that quite often get discounted with some of the teams that want to go in and just take gunfights. I think if anything, they probably maybe prefer one of those. I'm going to throw out Cafe.
I'm not really too sure because I think CAF is one you want to try and avoid Crazy on because their past history on CAF has been remarkable.
But you're going to take Consulate out because you don't want to play him on there.
Don't want to play him on anything.
No.
Do you ever just not play?
Or Villa.
It's pick your poison. Like you say, you mentioned Villa there. It's a good little segue because Fierce are a team that aren't afraid to play Villa. And is there an option there to maybe bring Villa in? Or are we going to see something absolutely ludicrous and like Bank gets brought out for its final hurrah?
Grand final map.
It's like it's victory lap, if you will. So we'll have to see. I don't really want to commit to a map here. I kind of like to see how it plays out.
You can tell us at the end of it you said you knew it was going to be that map.
No, to be fair, I don't actually know.
From all the way up there on the fence, he knew what it was going to be. I think it'll be Cafe.
Let's have a little bit of a wander round anyway, so that side round to see what map it will be. So Bank and Border has been banned, kind of expected. Villa and CAF, and it is actually going to be
How many times do I get that last ban? How many times do I choose that last ban?
I did mention the Alcaf thing, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, you shouldn't really listen to me anyway, but that's probably one time in a blue moon you probably should have done. But yes, get me a little gun battle going here between both teams on Coastline. But then again, you know, it was pick your poison for Fierce. Fierce for CAF, you know, CAF one of their strongest maps, or Coastline. But you saw what Crazy did against Secret on Coastline. It was ridiculous, Ollie.
And Secret are a good Coastline team as well. They're very capable on the map. The problem with Coastline is it just opens you up in terms of your operator bans. You don't need to be banning those hard breaches. You don't need to be paying much attention to those operators that you want to ban out. So you have got that flexibility, and players like the players on Crazy are just going to run riot with that freedom.
Watch out for Dats. That's all I can say, because he absolutely...
Oh my goodness,
he ran roughshod over Secret. I'm sorry, Secret. He made them look like amateurs at points. He got in there, dropping courtyard and hitting a 3K into main lobby. He was just unstoppable. And that, it's not even really a criticism of Secret. It's a positive of Dats of how well he played on the day. He was just unplayable.
He had like 3 or 4 3Ks at one stage. Even one of them, I still get flashbacks when he just dropped down courtyard and just got a 3K anyway. Even though he knew exactly where he was put himself in a very rough spot. Still came out on top. It annoys me with players where they put themselves in a disadvantageous situation and still come out. It is frustrating. I've had teammates like that before. Ask them how they just like, don't know, just done it. And I'm just like, yeah, that's not really a great answer. But let's have a look at some of the quotes. Very interested to see what people have to say. Nathan from Crazy says, don't count the days, make the days count. # don't fake it.
More deep philosophical stuff coming out here.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised about that. I'm not going to lie. But then again, he saw Omar's earlier. He was actually you know, very serious to start with him, and his next quote next day, completely different side of him, to say the least. Exactly. And we think we might have one more, possibly, if we actually have a look. Yes, we do. It's Reese. It's going to be a shame to see Crazy let their new org down. That is fighting talk, that is a Reese thing probably to say, Ollie.
Very much fighting talk.
That's the sort of thing that gets screenshotted.
Yeah, screenshot that now and then post it to Twitter later. I think, you know, let's hope that Reese can stay in the game for the whole duration, because he has got a bit of a tendency to drop out due to connection.
But it will be a match to start things off. Second one today, Crazy versus Fierce. We'll find out who's going to come out on top. Guys, I'm going to leave it to you.
That quote is going to age like fine wine or warm milk. We'll find out when we get to the end of this fixture. Coastline is going to be the location that we will throw down here between Crazy and Fierce Esports. We go to La Perla Blanca out in Ibiza. X, take us through the bans.
Nomad there coming out straight off the bat. As we spoke about earlier, the lack of requirement for a hard breacher does really make you a bit more flexible on the attacking side of things, and you can choose to ban out different operators. So the Nomad being removed there, Crazy, they're not going to stray away from their staple bans every single time, Capital and Mirror. Without question, without fail, you can bet your life on it that they're going to be the two operators that those guys like to remove. Fierce are going to round things out. Echo, Valkyrie potentially, Goyo. That's interesting because I feel like Fierce maybe play more Goyo than Crazy, but don't quote me on that.
So we're going to be heading into round number one very, very soon. As you say, your full suite of bans there coming across, and no major surprises there. Like you say, the Goyo is something that we are seeing more and more. We do see him used quite extensively on Coastline, particularly around hooker billiards defence. He's also used quite often kitchen service as well, just to, again, slow down those pushers, close down lanes for 10 or 15 seconds at a time, and also to close off potential plant spots. Coming into round number one, then we will be going to what would probably be considered the most popular site on the map at the moment, hooker and billiards. It's going to be Fierce on the defence to begin with. Now that, I think, hands a little bit, and I'm talking marginal, advantage to Crazy here. We know that if any of the maps favour the attackers at times, it can be Coastline. And we saw Crazy come in on the attack to begin with against Team Secret, if you remember. Team Secret went big. They came out and they were hitting like double kills on the spawn peaks, and Crazy were coming back and winning those rounds 3v5 on attack. They are seriously lethal on this map on attack.
Very lethal indeed, like you say. I think 50% of the rounds where Crazy suffer the opening death, they still actually win that round. And a large part of that statistic is due to the game that they played against Secret, where despite the fact that they were losing a lot of rounds, they were still picking them up. Sorry, despite the fact that they were losing a lot of opening kills, they were still picking up those rounds, which is exceptionally important. We've spoken about it before. We will continue to speak about it so long as they are, and that is that Crazy are a great team on attack. They aren't one of these teams that are slightly defender-sided and really struggle to get going on the attack. They're more than capable, and it's a trait that we've seen time and time again from those guys. So coming in onto an attacker-sided map as well, it just really edges it, in my opinion, for these guys. Blur with an aggressive Nitro Cell toss-out is going to do Madman down to nearly dead. That 10 health remaining on him, but Diffuser in hand, still very much alive. Maybe some information out there that Jonker could do with trying to deal with.
Big start and a big message sent from Fierce there that they are going to be aggressive here. They're certainly not going to play scared. We can see Kayak down here in the service entrance near that door looking to potentially get himself a little run out if the play is coming out on VIP balcony, but he's just going to hold back. He's just preventing that push underneath to prevent the vertical control being gained. Dats is going to open things up though with a kill onto Tyrant, so Crazy certainly not rocked by that early damage onto Madman, and it will be the Mozzie that loses his life. So any of those drones that he's captured and are in position now, that is where they're going to stay. They're going to be locked down there now. So it's to be hoped that they are in a useful position. 1 minute 30, and we can see some good map control coming in here for Crazy. They got themselves all the way in to Theatre, Penthouse, VIP. That side of the upstairs is theirs. However, they haven't shut down Kayak downstairs, and they still have Blur active in Aquarium and able to flank through luggage. And that is exactly what he will do. Steps up and gets a kill onto Nathan. So that will now be 4 versus 4. That's an important kill though from Packbull, taking Prox off the board. That is the Maestro gone and the Alder off the board. 4 versus 3 now, and Crazy progressing well here with 1:10 left on the clock.
Not a great deal of hit points available on the side of Crazy as Madman sitting still very low, and that will in fact be finished off. Reese finding that kill with the SMG-11 as he's going to level things up now into a 3 versus 3. Around a minute left remaining and a lot of work yet to do for... Oh, Packbull, come on. Kayak, good night, sit down, 1 tap to the head as Packbull gets a great kill there. C4 toss will go out. Blur finds 1 in return onto Jonker. Packbull now left to drone himself in through Hooker. He is very split up from Madman as Madman still, despite suffering all that early damage, is still alive in this part of the round. He's got a line of sight over in through Billiards, but he can't really affect all too much. Packbull on a tear finds 1 before getting shut down. It's now 1 versus 1. Both players very low health indeed. I don't think that Reese has got a C4 left. Madman looks to know his location here. He's aggressively pushing on in. Stun grenade is going to go out. The wide peak comes round. The pre-fire shots follow. And Madman tests his C-key as Crazy take round number 1.
Gotta make sure they're working. Gotta make sure they're working. You do not want to be in a position where you need to crouch and it doesn't work. You have to check them out. Madman coming in with the final kill there. Even though he spent 90% of that round on only 10 health, he was hit by that early nitro, but it certainly didn't rock his game. He was happy to operate on that low health, get in and get that final kill for his team. But I tell you what, if every round is going to go like that, I'm going to need some more energy drinks, because that was breakneck speed. It was kill for kill. It was trade for trade, and I think that's probably a good indicator of what we're going to see from the rest of this game. However, are we going to see those late round kills that win the rounds going over to the side of Crazy? Just that maybe a little bit more experience there, just coming out on top and being on the right side of the trades.
It's like you say, the decision-making in that situation from Madman in particular, to have the peace of mind knowing he's got 3 stun grenades left, knowing that he can throw one onto the floor, and it's called a pop flash, where you throw it onto the floor, and the idea is that it doesn't go too far and it detonates nice and quickly so that you can peek immediately off the back of it. You don't flash yourself, you're not looking to flash the whole room, you're just throwing it down on the ground. That peace of mind, with 15 seconds left, knowing he's going in a one-on-one gunfight, he's giving himself every advantage possible, because his brain, whilst he's reacting at the speed of light, he's slowing time down. He's slowing that decision-making process down to make sure that he makes the right decision. I think another point of interest, there was a huge opening kill in that last round. Tyrant fell, and he's the guy that you really want to keep an eye on this week, because so far moving into this fixture, he has a 4.5 KD. That's something that you cannot ignore, and he's someone that Crazy really need to focus on not giving any time or space to.
I tell you what, if I went up against somebody in rank with a 4.5 KD, I'd be checking into their stats.
There'd be questions,
There'd be questions asked at that point, and that just shows when you're playing at this competitive level, for Kayak to be coming out with stats like that, it just shows how much of an absolute tear he has been on so far. We know he's got the ability. We've seen him in previous seasons. He's a great player. Dats is going to be down there in the pool. He will probably be picked up, but they need to be careful of those external windows. Just make sure that there isn't an angle onto him there. Dats is the Ash, so it's not the end of the world for him to take that damage. As an entry player, you're looking for him to get in there, lead the charge, and to mix things up. Once again, even though that early damage is done to Crazy, they still come out with the opening kill. Blur being taken off the board. Kayak, you already picked up on him, X. He will step up and this time get a kill on to Madman with the Mozzie. Madman will not be as lucky as he was last time to survive with 10 HP. He's going to live no longer, and 4 versus 4 coming into 1:40 to go.
And Kayak's that dangerous player because I don't think he's accounted for at the moment. Crazy are trying to work away and they're busy in gaining map control elsewhere, and they're not really paying any heed to these roamers on this ground floor. Tyrant and Kayak, as that duo, they're getting themselves out there and they're able to move and navigate this map very nicely indeed. Just backing each other up, and they know that if they get pushed, they're very likely to get a trade-off at the least. Dats inside of Sunrise Bar. He's recognised this and he's looking to try and take this engagement. He doesn't have the most health to speak of, but he's still got to fights like he does. He finds one onto Tyrant, goes for the default camera. Kayak with the wide swing, and he's going to punish him for it. C4 toss, that isn't going to land, unfortunately, despite the live pings coming out. Reese seeing a lot of pressure. Jonker finding that kill onto Reese. Pressure coming in vertically as well from Kayak. Prox is going to fall in the site, and Kayak left as the last man standing. He has live pings, but the players of Crazy know this, and they've got so much time available. Nathan's going to be getting that diffuser down, and Kayak left with no option but to try and force his way up. The angles are being held. Crazy are too good for that. They're not going to give you the chance to rotate back onto site. Packbull, what a game he is having. The opening kill there, the final kill, continuing his form from yesterday.
Leading from the front, we often see it from him. If there's kills to be had, they're going to be Packbulls. His KPR must be huge. Every round you see his name popping up on that kill feed. He is so consistent at picking up the kills, even if he loses his life in the process. And it's always those kills that seem to crack the nut open a little bit, just to allow his team to get the foot in the door to start moving through. It's always that difficult player that needs rooting out, and Grenade will go in and take him out, and it's Packbull's name attached to it. And he really does have some very impactful kills for his team. And as I said, we've commented already on the ability of Kayak as well. Absolutely insane gunners on both sides of the coin here, and it's no surprise to see these rounds trading backwards and forwards. But so far, Crazy just able to take that slight advantage and just come out at the sharp end of each round with that slight man advantage and get themselves the round onto the board. I did comment that coming in on the attack to begin with might just favour Crazy, and Fierce need to be very careful here that they don't let this run away from them. If this goes to 3-0, 4-0, things start to get very difficult for them.
It's a comment we make about Fierce a lot as well, is that they do seem to struggle with the mental aspect of things, and if they are going to go down early and they are going to lose a couple of rounds, it isn't going to do them any good to start dwelling on that and start to question why things have gone in that direction. They just need to be able to drop it and start afresh every single time, because the mentality can sometimes get the better of these players. We've seen it before with them not able to close out fixtures where they have had a lead. Now starting out at a disadvantage, it isn't going to do them any favours whatsoever. Prox with a bit of early aggression there, along with Blur. That's one of my favourite spawn peaks in ranked. 60% of the time, it works every single time.
Not in the games I play. So we are now 30 seconds into the round. We've got Crazy approaching pretty much from the west side, looking to apply pressure to the pool entrance. Tyrant just putting some good shots out there. Dats has taken early round damage once again, but as we saw in round number 2, it was of no real detriment to Crazy, and they were still able to move through. And we even saw it in round number 1 as well. Madman taking the damage that time out. They certainly are taking these early shots, but they never seem to just quite lose their life to it. And then they manage to come through and just get a couple of kills and get themselves a man advantage and propel themselves into the round. There is a minute gone off the board. We can see Fierce pretty much holding almost exclusively downstairs here. They do have a sort of semi-roam with the Valkyrie out there on the main lobby stairs, not being pushed as it stands by Crazy, allowed to play in that location. But with this wall being opened up, the pressure is really going to start raining in. Dats, even on low health, still makes use of his gun and will get the first kill of the round onto Kayak, now leaving us 5 versus 4. We can see Tyrant gets taken off the board by Packbull as well. There's that name again, Packbull, every round picking kills up. Prox will lose his life to Nathan, and this is a slew of kills going in favour of Crazy here, and they find themselves 5 versus 2, and Crazy are looking very, very dangerous here.
You can see these guys talking with the way that they're all moving, and the drone work is going out. They're working in perfect synergy, and so far haven't lost a life. They've got themselves into a great spot, 5 versus 2. Bit of a challenge there onto Kitchen Door, but once again, a double push coming out. Dats is going to be the one finding that, and Blur, last man standing. Plant almost certainly going to start going down just to increase that pressure that Blur is going to be under in this 1 versus 5. It's going to be Madman getting it down, and Blur, even if he's aware of it, he knows he's got a very tough job. Dats, wide swing, no problem whatsoever. Flawless round for Crazy. 3 rounds in a row, and they're looking like they can do no wrong tonight.
Reese found himself in a tough spot in Kitchen there, challenging one on window, wheeling round to try and put shots out towards single door. On a different day, maybe he hits both shots there. He gets himself a nice double and he puts Fierce into the game. That's a feeling that I'm getting of Fierce so far today, is maybe the shot isn't just quite on as it might normally be. Even Kayak with that huge KD that we've seen, maybe not coming in and having the same impact that he has in previous weeks here, but they're up against a different class of team here in Crazy. And if you're not really on your game, you're going to lose those gunfights in an absolute heartbeat against players like Packbull and Dats particularly.
As you say, this isn't the game or the day to have aim that isn't feeling on point. Now, part of that could be due to confidence. Part of that could be the fact that this is a really big fixture for them. It's likely to be a fixture we're going to see at the LAN finals with the way that these two teams are shaping up. We're very likely to see them play against each other there. So this one's a good little indicator of what we could see when we do get to that point. But Fierce, a lot of fight left in them and a lot of work yet to do. Still, players out there struggling to find those kills and to struggling to find that leaderboard. And that's unusual. It's not something that we expect. Tyrant, spoke about him earlier. Coming into this week, 4.5 KD for Tyrant. He's now sitting on 0 kills. He can't do anything right. He's struggling. He isn't getting himself in the right engagement. There isn't a lot of trade potential coming either. Packbull, 7-0. Dats, 5-0. Even Jonker, 1-0. 1-0. Doesn't matter. He's not that.
13-0 out between 3 players.
3 rounds, no deaths, 1 kill. Where do you think all the other kills have come from? Information from Jonker.
I mean, it's difficult to get kills when Dats and Packbull are playing like that.
He's grafting, he's on the drone, he's calling out for his team. And it's working. The communication is so good on Crazy.
3 rounds, there's 15 kills available, 5 operators per round. 12 of those have been picked up by Packbull and Dats. That is absolutely insane.
It's a fight for kills at this stage for Crazy, and it's something similar to what we saw yesterday as well. I think off the top of my head, Packbull finished yesterday on like 10-1, 10-2 maybe. I think it's 10-1. So an exceptional day for him yesterday, and still continuing to find his shot today. And we often say that kills aren't the full picture, but when the rounds are going in this direction, they really, really are.
Packbull is hot property, it is fair to say. Dats, however, is just keeping himself in pace with Packbull comes in, and that duo absolutely tearing a hole through Fierce at the minute. They are going through them for a shortcut at this point, and that is now advantage once again in favour of Crazy. 1 minute 45 left on the clock. Tyrant off the board. Not a huge loss in terms of your Jaeger. All that utility will have been placed out at the beginning of the round. The Jaeger is out there as a roamer to waste time, pick up a kill if they can. But when you've lost your life within the first minute, you haven't really wasted enough time. Dats comes in and gets his second on the round. That is Prox off the board. Valkyrie gone. Blur will fight back and take Dats out. That's going to be an important one. First death for Dats, and that's one of the fraggers off the board, but you've still got a little problem that is called Packbull, and he's backed up by Nathan Madman Jonker. Where do you stop with this team? Kayak will stop Nathan dead in his tracks though, and that levels things up in terms of man count, and this is a better round from Fierce, not being rocked by those losses and fighting the way back into it.
Tough one for Reese to take there, as he does fall to a claymore from Jonker. Bit of an engagement here as well. No one expects you to be stood in the corner, and Packbull continues his reign of terror, still being allowed to open up the floor inside of VIP. Fierce has done a really good job of controlling the pace of this round to this point, but it's all about how they execute in this final 40 seconds. They are at a very big disadvantage. However, they've likely got quite a bit of information. Blur is going to be the last one standing, and he's going up against 3 players from Crazy. All he's left with doing is being able to hold one angle and hope that the vertical doesn't get opened above him. Packbull's going to be doing his utmost to find that vertical angle. Blur's done a great job of getting Jonker there, because that's diffuser down. Whether he knows it or not, he's made things a heck of a lot easier for himself here. As we enter this final 10 seconds, Madman is left with no option but to go for kills. Blur finds a second. Can he get the quad kill? Packbull is getting that diffuser down, so maybe the intel isn't as much as it could be, and Blur in a difficult spot now. Pre-fire shots come out. He does manage to land. Packbull still on just under half health. The upside down repel, where have we seen this before? This is a dangerous situation to be in. Nathan's already said it in the chat. It's almost as if he's reading my mind. This is a carbon copy of something that we saw very similar inside of SI, but Packbull isn't going to make the same mistakes, and he finds the kill onto Blur, going for an aggressive run out of main door. Obviously some drone information once again on the side of Crazy, giving him that intel, still going flawless.
Let others make your mistakes for you, and that's exactly what Packbull's done there. He's got himself in the power position once that diffuser is down. Blur, I feel for him there. He played that very, very well. He got himself a good opening kill to bring it from 1v3 to 1v2. He moved well and slowly, being that big, heavy operator. He didn't want to give away his location by just running out to a new location. He kept his calm, he moved out there steadily, and he waited for Madman to push, got himself a good second kill, brought it back to 1 versus 1. Maybe a little bit more aggression on towards that default plant spot would have helped him, but he's up against Packbull. You don't want to move into that line of sight because he's going to hurt you with it, so I can understand the reluctance there. He still had a fight to make at the end. He didn't go for the obvious straight out of the service door. He tried to mix it up a little bit, but Packbull had his number on that one, and that's going to be round number 4 to Crazy.
Very good clutch indeed. Fierce, they really had it in the locker. They really had the capability there, and I'd love to see where their information was during that round. They were pressured throughout the entirety of the round, so there's a likelihood that Mozzie drones aren't in the right place. There's a likelihood that maybe the bulletproof got destroyed. It's always difficult to have the right information where you need it for that late stage, but you've got to ask the question, is there an opportunity there to bring a different operator other than the dock? I understand the value in being able to stim yourself up, and I think that Blur actually used that ability in that round. However, had that been a Maestro, had there been a bit more information, there's a chance that he's got the tools he needs to win out onto that round. Fierce are going to feel a little bit hard done to there. That's the closest they've come and the closest round we've seen so far. But again, the scoreboard doesn't represent that. Crazy sitting at 4-0 and looking really good here on Coastline.
As good as Crazy are, I don't think any of us really expected the early exchanges to go quite like this, with Crazy being just as dominant as they have been. Fierce really struggling to get themselves a foothold in the game here. Blur trying to just inject some aggression into their defensive game here with a little run out there onto the DJ booth, but it will not be successful. But it does one thing, and that's make Crazy aware that they have to be careful and they have to apply their due diligence at the beginning of these rounds, and that is exactly what they will do as Nathan comes in with the early kill onto Tyrant, once again giving Crazy Man advantage. And I never really feel like Fierce are in a real position to look like they could win these rounds when they are short-handed. Procs being taken off the board by the upside down repel of Madman as well, so that is now 5 versus 3. And once again, it looks like Fierce have got their backs to the wall. They've got Crazy snapping at them in front of them, just looking to put them to the sword now. They're hungry for that 6-0 half.
Oh, Dats is going to fall there on Cool Vibes. Going to be Kayak getting that kill. In fact, he went as a 1-for-1 trade. Loads of kills coming in on the feed there. Blur taking out Jonker, Nathan trading that straight back out. Reese again is the last man standing, this time in the 1 versus 3. He hasn't got as much luxury as just a 1v1 that he found himself in last time, but still playing that same position. Zafir Lifeline going to come out. The plant is going down. Packbull ensuring that this round is going to get only more difficult for Reese. He maybe got a call there that the plant was going down, but look at the amount of cover. Madman from the repel finds Reese's head yet again. Round number 5 going to Crazy.
Madman didn't really have to move in that entire round. He got himself on to the hooker window there and just stayed there throughout.
And that's something that the Crazy are doing exceptionally well so far. They are so good at getting multiple kills before they commit to the map. And that's why we're seeing aggressive plays from players like Blur in trying to get out there and to challenge those people on repel, because they're not stupid. They're recognizing we're getting torn apart before the attackers have even got in. We need to remove their ability to get kills from repels and through doorways, etc., because that's what's doing us dirty at the moment, and that is what Fierce are really struggling with.
And it's very difficult when you do make those peaks, those little jump outs, and you've got Nathan there in his ADS, and he just absolutely blasts you into next week. It's going to be difficult to try and affect that sort of gameplay.
Very difficult indeed. All these guys on the side of Crazy seriously hitting the shots. Packbull 9-1. Dats, he's fallen off a little bit. He's only 8-4 now. I think we can still give him a pass, but that's a couple of deaths in consecutive rounds there. So maybe a little bit more work to be done, but still a very good round, and all jokes, of course. Fierce still struggling to find the answer. Tyrant 0-5. Procs 0-5. Got to start asking questions.
I'd love to see the cost rating for Packbull as well. As I've said, he's just so consistent at getting kills in rounds. He's got a diffuser plant down there. For anybody who doesn't know who's watching, cost is kills, objectives, survives and trades, and it's just an indicator. It's, you know, not necessarily a perfect metric, but it's a very good indicator of the contribution that you're having to your team. It puts a focus on those other elements aside from just kills and your KD rating as well. So it just really shows whether you're contributing within each round of the map or not. Basically, it's a yes or no situation. You either do one of those things or you don't, and you get a tick or a cross, and then it's essentially the average of those ones and zeros come the end of it that would be your rating, and I am sure that Packbull would be somewhere up towards 1 at this point.
Prox, does it cost?
There you go.
He just got a kill onto Nathan.
Straight in.
Straight in. Might be the first time he's hit it this game so far, as he was struggling to find the leaderboard, but that little bit of aggression hasn't done him any harm. And he's got out there and he got himself a kill, put themselves in the advantage. But we've all seen how Crazy react when they lose that opening engagement, and it doesn't usually last too long. Dats there able to shut Prox down. There was good drone work going on inside of Aqua and Billiards, and Dats knows that Prox is going to get aggressive onto that. He's had a bit of a taste. He knows that he can get a kill out there. He's gone for the second, and unfortunately for him, has lost his life. Dats taking a good advantage there, and now top floor can continue to be cleared. Kayak finding a nice one onto Madman. It's going to remove the Hibana. Again, not the end of the world. We don't necessarily need Hibana's utility, but Madman as a player has been doing some really good work in this fixture. Just want to comment there on 2 of the pre-placed drones and how they are still alive at this point, albeit one of them could be a Mozzie drone, but still it just goes to show the amount of information that Crazy are getting out there.
Just an interesting little point about the new UI. It's just fed me a little bit of new information. Obviously, when you play in a sledge, you've got the little yellow bar that ticks down. I never knew that it was 25 destructive hits that he had, but the new UI shows us that, and it counts it down as he makes them. Quite interesting there.
I think if you get to the bottom of a sledgehammer, you've probably destroyed an entire map. But it looks as though Packbull's going to be giving it his best go. He's only got 14 left, finding those vertical angles and still with a lot of the floor to rip on up. Kayak with a double kill on the round takes down Dats on the Ash. Since getting that opening kill, hasn't really appeared to have much of an impact. And once again, Fierce is starting to look pretty good here. They are in a man advantage. We're at a 4 versus 2, but Packbull still threatening from above. Nade will get tossed out, but I don't think it'll come to much. The players on Fierce are getting themselves dug in here. They know they don't need to peek out onto anything, but as I say that, as if on cue, Jonker finds a kill there onto Reese. The push now coming in through the sauna, and it looks as though there's still a little bit of information being worked with here. Packbull setting Jonker up for a rush straight on through, but Blur will shut them both down, holding the angle very well, and I think a bit of a Hail Mary play there from the guys on Crazy.
Unfortunately, there's only one thing that Packbull sets Crazy up for there, and that is a massacre in this round. We can let him off. He's been an absolute star so far in this game, really contributing to those 5 rounds won. But Fierce have finally got themselves on the board, and that might just be what they need coming into the attack here. It is not unusual to see Coastline play out in favour of the attackers. As time goes by, it seems to become more and more difficult to defend on this map. So we're going to see now Fierce coming into the attack. Can they carry that momentum forward? Can they keep picking up those early kills that Prox managed to in round number 6 there? And can they take advantage of it in the same way that they did? Kayak had a great round there, picking up a couple that Fierce really needed.
Yeah, Kayak really started to ramp things up there. I think the biggest difference maker here that we could perhaps see is Prox on that Ying. We've seen it before. I remember watching a game where he played on Bank, and I think he got something like 15 or 16 kills. Fierce as a team actually went on to lose that fixture, but all of them were off the back of Prox on that Ying. He was doing such a number, and that's going to be really difficult for Crazy to deal with. There's only so many ADSs you can dedicate to that, and as we all know, there's plenty of ways to burn those ADSs. So could be a bit of a difference maker there, and if they use that as a bit of a beachhead to try and gain some early control, then work well as a team, they could do quite a bit here to shut Crazy down and single them out into those 1v1 engagements.
I always like to see how Pulse is used. That heartbeat scanner, such a powerful gadget, just feeding information in constantly to his team, but he will need to be very aware that they do have IQ on the opposite side. Again, another one of those interesting little operator tidbits. IQ's scanner will actually pick Pulse up from a further range than the heartbeat scanner will pick IQ up, so IQ does have an advantage advantage, an inherent advantage over Pulse in the battle of the information. Blur will lose his life early in the round though. That is the Ash off the board, and that is a second going down to Dats now. He is lethal out on the roam, and he finds himself 5 versus 3 for Crazy now. Is there more kills for Dats? That's 1, that's 2. That will be 3 on the round. Nathan just crept in there and got one of those as he was backing his teammate up. He did get downed on Cool Vibes stairs, but he will be picked up by Madman, so that now leaves us in a 5 versus 1 situation. Kayak has it all to do. There is damage across the board almost for Crazy, but there is nowhere near enough damage to make this look anywhere near possible for Kayak.
Dats has got to be fuming. He's on for the ace there. Nathan comes in, yoinks the kill. It's just a little bit disrespectful, isn't it? I'm sure that Dats is going to be thirsting after this last one, as Kayak is going to be out in the cold. More than likely should use this time to discuss with his team, but instead is going to continue to peek onto Sauna Door, and you can just see a bit of a nightmare developing there as a lot of crazy players started to line up, and we've all seen how those collateral kills can go. You just hold mouse 1 and heads start to align. It's not going to be. Dats, it will find that final kill, making it a quad, and Nathan did steal his ace.
Well, he did steal the final kill off Nathan. There was a bit of tit for tat there. Nathan hit him with the shotgun, got him down, and then Dats moved in and finished him off. I'm sure there may have been a little bit of banter on the comms there to say that he owed him one. But yeah, ultimately he did go in and take the ace potentially there. But Dats having an absolutely crazy game. We've seen so many of those from him. Individual rounds, particularly here on Coastline. I feel like it's really becoming his map, is Coastline. We do have these players that come out and they'll just have absolutely huge games when they play on specific maps. Dats, to be fair, has them on many maps, but Coastline he really is starting to make a name for himself on. He's got a real proficiency here.
Vigil going to get brought by Dats this time, obviously just wanting that little bit more flexibility on the roam. The drone game was there from Fierce, and he was pressured under those drones, but it just really didn't come to anything. They couldn't get the information they needed. They didn't even know that Dats was just outside VIP. It should have been an easy kill as Prox pushed his way on in. But again, Fierce just really struggling to get themselves in here. But I mean, that's testament to Crazy, and this is a team that we are expecting to do these kind of great things. They're not in Challenger League for no reason. They are there because they deserve it, and they're there because they're extremely capable, and I think they're getting better and better every single time that I watch them at this point.
They certainly are. So we're heading into match point number 1 here. 6-1 in favour of Crazy. Crazy just guaranteeing themselves the draw, if nothing else. But Fierce are going to have an absolute mountain to climb if they are to get themselves back to that point and snatch a point from under the nose of Crazy here. It will certainly be a big upset. The way that that last defensive round went, I'm going to expect this one to be finished off here, if I'm honest with you.
Is now a good time to bring up Reese's quote? Is that a thing that we can do? I think Reese's quote was quite poignant at this point at 6-1. Oh, it's going to be a shame to see Crazy let their new org down. It's a little bit debatable, that. I think that Crazy are going to be very pleased with the performance put in by the guys in their first 2 games of Premiership under their new banner, because they've been doing exceptionally well. Blur is going to be trying to find out onto Dats' location, as he's going to be getting himself droning into Blue Bar, but Dats, ever the aggressor, is looking to try and challenge onto him. Dokkaebi Call coming out, that's maybe going to give Blur a little bit of information, but it isn't enough to peek from. Not confident on Dats' location, as of course that cloaking device on Vigil can be very tricky to find out on.
Certainly can. So we are a minute into the round, and Fierce doing a better job of keeping themselves alive than they have done previously. They've been losing men in the opening 20-30 seconds, and it has really cost them in the rounds, but that will still be the first kill going in favour of Crazy. Packball going to get the kill onto Prox there, putting that shotgun to work. We see him so often using these SAS operators, and we know how powerful that shotgun can be. So that now leaves us 5 versus 4. Nathan has taken some damage on the Ela there, but he is getting aggressive. Just running out, looking to see if he can get a peek onto anybody with this pistol scope. We know how good it can be, even at range. He's just going to dip himself back inside now. Madman will get the second of the round onto Kayak, and things are not looking good for Fierce.
not looking good at all. It looks as though Tyrant's going to be funneled inside of security. As his location is known, a C4 toss is going to hit onto the door frame. Tyrant will find the kill, but Dats will respond. Reese gets one onto Nathan, and that's going to do a little bit to level out this score count. Reese on a tear, putting that DMR to great work. Not often you see kills being chained together in that manner with that weapon, but he's obviously making it work for himself. Looks as though we're going to see the final 2 kills come in very quickly there, as Tyrant will fall and Packbull will find the final kill. It all started with Packbull. It is all going to end with Packbull. Crazy, and a dominating performance there for Crazy.
Well, I'll tell you what, with the results that we're seeing for Crazy, Harry is building a real relationship with Packbull, speaking to him on the daily at the moment almost. Crazy absolutely in no mood to let that become a protracted fixture, just getting in there and really absolutely nailing that one to the wall. 7-1, and who'd have seen that coming?
I felt like I just sat down and started watching it. I mean, it was absolute madness, but there we have it. Crazy 7-1, a dominating fashion too. And, you know, don't get me wrong, we know how good Fierce can be. And, you know, there's a couple of Fierce players there, even Tyrant. He was very quiet, very strangely.
A lot of the Fierce players there really struggled to show up to the fixture, and that just wasn't something they were going to get away with tonight. They weren't going to be given that time or space, and Crazy just went out and played the same game we see him always play. Very professional, very to the point, and concentrating on doing the basic things very well.
Yep, they absolutely did. And this is what we talk about, and it's something that I have commented from Fierce before. You know, you have to go in, even if things look like a landslide in your favour like that. Don't get carried away. You've still got to get in there. Crazy showed great professionalism there, and they just kept doing what they do so well. And it was just rinse and repeat, and it won them the match. Simple as that.
It was just great map control overall. They didn't give it room to breathe, or even trying to get something going in any way, shape or form. And what makes matters worse, Crazy started on the attack at the same time. But then again, you know, it is Coastline after all.
It is Coastline, it is attacker-sided. Crazy are an exceptional attacking team, but they controlled the pace of the game from the off and continued even when they switched on to the defense. They were just controlling every single nook and cranny of that map. I don't think Fierce were given a room to breathe. I don't think they were given time to think. They certainly weren't given any opportunity to play their version of Siege. You can see that demonstrated there in Dats, just getting multiple kills in multiple rounds. Flawless rounds coming out, almost got the ace. Just an exceptional display of Siege there from Crazy.
We did see, a good couple of players from Fierce. We saw, Reese, we saw Kayak, we saw Tyrant, we saw almost all of them have their moment and get a big double, get a big triple just to keep their team in it. But it just wasn't enough in the end. They didn't have that killer instinct to finish those rounds off, unfortunately, for them today. As I said, with Fierce sometimes it's a tale of two teams. Unfortunately, they just struggled to turn up for that one. But at the same time, when Crazy are going to turn up and play like they did, it sometimes doesn't matter how well you play. Yeah,
it's pretty crazy, especially on a map like Coastline. We saw what happened against Secret, and, you know, it was picky poison. It was either CAF or Coastline, you know. They weren't going to have a good time nonetheless anyway. But make sure you vote for your player on the match at ESL UK. That's Packbull and Blur. Blur did definitely, I think he actually helped with that one round with the 2K as well with the sledge.
Yeah, Blur did a little bit of work there. I think it's probably difficult to ignore the two players from Crazy, Dats or Packbull. For me, maybe Packbull edges it. I think he had a better KD overall. Certainly had some really impactful kills and a little bit of flash, but Dats, again, out there on the roam, just a nightmare to deal with. So both very deserved.
You've got the consistency from Packbull. I commented on his cost rating. You've got the flair from Dats. He's going to drop in and get you a triple kill, a 4K. And so it really is, you know, those two big sort of foundation pillars of what makes a great player.
Or just having that ace stolen by Nathan. That was nice of him, wasn't it? You know, it could have been, you know, could have at least given it a little bit of a hand, but no, of course not. To be fair, I would have done the same thing. But let's have an interview with Packbull anyway, see what he has to say. My friend, you just completely went off from start to finish. What happened?
I don't know, like, to be honest, going into this game, our warm-up scrim we had right before this, we were against, like, obviously your warm-up scrim is against, like, a team that isn't so good. It's meant to be just warm-up gun skill and stuff. Went into that on Coastline, and we were like 3-1 down, and then we had to quickly go because our match was starting. So we came into this a little bit like, oh no, this might not go so good. Especially we know Fierce is a team that should have like really good gun skill.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised, and that was actually going to be my next question. With that scoreline, was you kind of like expected to be that large? Because that was a heavy defeat.
We originally didn't actually expect to play Coastline. I don't really know why they would pick that against us. They kind of know that it's a map we like, and we kind of know it's a map they really don't like, or like we think they really don't like. Maybe they do. So yeah, we were definitely surprised when like they picked for us to play this. But if a team thinks they can take us on it, they can pick it.
I don't think anyone will after that performance. You did it against Secret before, and now you've done it against Fears, two of your biggest contenders. But for now, speaking of contenders, you've only got 2 games left. It's Audacity and Randy's. You must be feeling quite comfortable now that you could most potentially go straight to the Prem Finals without, avoiding the playoffs pretty much.
Yeah, last season, obviously, we were undefeated. We were the only team last season to go undefeated. So in these last 2 games, we're really just focusing on keeping the undefeated streak going and representing Crazy in a good way, because obviously we're happy to be picked up by them.
Oh, of course. There's literally no stopping you guys at this point, but congratulations once again, and I'm sure we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, hopefully. All right, thank you.
I love how he says hopefully, but I think deep down he knows. After that performance just now, ridiculous.
Yeah, there's no question is that I think they're going to be going undefeated again in this season of Premiership, just the same that they did in the previous one.
I like it though, they're grounded, they don't get carried away with themselves, they don't come in there shouting about how they're going to destroy this team or that team. Just quietly go about the business and look at, they're reaping the rewards.
That's exactly, it's how it should be. People can be all talk and all that bits and pieces, but they're very calm about it. Like they said when they qualified for Challenger League, they were just like, yeah, that's fine, but we're looking forward. They're not like cheering or going crazy with comments or anything like that, but it really shows the level of professionalism going through, and it shows how much work they put into it. It's starting to show not just in the previous matches, but in the matches going forward. But speaking of forward, we've got the last match of the evening. It will be Audacity versus Enclave coming up very soon. And welcome back to the Rainbow Six Siege ESL Premiership as we head into the last match of the evening between Enclave and Audacity. Joining me again, Troy and Ace as usual. And guys, you know, we were talking about Enclave experience here and there, but this is probably their best opportunity now to maybe make something of their team.
I think it's a really good opportunity for both teams here to get a victory on the board. They both desperately need one. And, well, one of them's going to come out with it tonight unless we do see the draw, which, you know, is more than possible.
We've got Jaw back for Enclave. That's going to be a big thing for them. Back to that familiarity. They know what they're doing there. I think this is going to be an intriguing fixture. Audacity, we keep having this running joke about, is it going to be the first win they pick up? And no, I'm sorry, you can't count your default against Secret. It needs to be one where you play the match and win it. And is this going to be the one for them? It's certainly got to be the opportunity.
Surely this is the one. We've been waiting for months for this, Ollie, and now this is probably the time. But you've got to remember, for both of these teams, it's a battle to stay out of relegation, and that's it, only 1 point ahead. So for Enclave, it's not only a draw, it's a must-win for them.
It's a big game for Enclave, and they're not coming in off the best result yesterday. They got destroyed by Crazy, and I think that much was to be expected. Audacity on the other side of things, they had a really good result against Demise. Whilst it wasn't a win, they did get some rounds.
I quite like the positioning of the Enclave logo. It looks like I'm charging.
Yes, not too bad. God, so is that your verdict then? So it's got to be Enclave now because it looks like that on top of your head.
Why not? No, honestly, I think we've seen some great stuff from Enclave. You know, I've joked about it, but it was a great clutch from Mounty Crypt yesterday. But you know, they did have a tough game. They were always going to have a tough game against Crazy. They are here to learn. They are here to develop. I do think that Audacity do have the edge over them. Or more, you know, we saw Audacity. We saw a good performance from them against Randy's. Randy's are a good team, not to be written off. And I think, yeah, for me, Audacity probably edge it in this one.
I'm not too sure. Maybe they will edge it, but I think you're actually correct. I think the scoreline won't be as large as some of the other matchups we've seen previously, but Audacity are definitely going to try and sweat it out in this one.
I think Audacity are well positioned to take this. Enclave, for me, just haven't shown enough bite yet. I just don't think they've got that killer instinct that they need to necessarily take a map all the way.
Let's not forget, this is the battle to avoid relegation as well. Now that we're at 7 teams, there's only one team going to be relegated. 3rd place to 6th place will go through to the playoffs. So whoever wins this here just stakes a huge claim to avoid that relegation. Audacity already on 3 points with that secret default, as will Enclave be, but the 3 here is going to be, it's like a 6-point fixture, you'd call it in football, and it's going to be an important one for them.
Now, to say that as well, like for whichever team will go into relegation, they'll be fighting in relegations to basically keep and secure their spot, which will happen, of course, after the season progresses. But now, with Audacity, it's really hard to bet against them in this, but then again, any team against Enclave have, because you will talk about the experience here and there, they're grinders, they do everything they can. But let's talk about the Enclave side, Ollie. What do they need to really do from what you've seen in previous days to try and make something of this matchup?
I think they've got really good ideas and they've got a lot of potential in the roster. I think maybe Joe coming back in could be quite big for them tonight. He's been quite an impact player and someone that's more than capable of causing a nuisance on the roam. It's a phrase I like to use time again. If he's able to go out there and get some kills and cause a problem, it could really slow Audacity down.
It's familiarity as well, you know, like you say, he's going to make a nuisance of himself on the roam, he's going to get a couple of kills, and that just maybe allows the other players to focus on what their role would normally be and not have to worry about filling in for those kills and picking them up. It's just, you know, we've all got that player on our team where you've got the confidence for them to go in and pick up a couple of early kills and to put you at man advantage, and I feel like it is Joe, potentially, although
2 Mounty Crypts, your favourite.
I mean, that's not bad. That's
Double
not
trouble.
bad. If you could get 2 Mounty Crypts, I'd be happy with that.
if you're playing on Clubhouse, you would be.
With a shotgun.
Put them both in Dirt Tunnel.
My goodness. Well, yeah, if you could have one way up 2, I think it's a safe bet, really. And if I was against 2, I wouldn't be too happy.
Not at all.
I think there'd be a protest there, wouldn't there?
Yeah, well, I'll probably protest as well, but yeah, I'm not really too sure what to say about that. But with Audacity, they can't underestimate these guys. They may see it as though, okay, finally we can get our first W on the board, but if they think like that and go in with that kind of overconfidence and kind of underestimate them, things can go bad.
Yeah, Audacity have still got to take this as a serious fixture. It isn't a preconceived win by any stretch of the imagination, and they need to do a lot to fight for this. I think it's going to be hard fought. I reckon this is going to be looking at around like a 7-4, 7-5 sort of a scoreline. I don't think that it's going to be a complete whitewash. I don't think it's going to be like map 1 where it was an absolute bar burner. I think it's going to lie somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. We've seen Enclave are capable if they're allowed to do what they want to do. If they're allowed to play their plan A, then they come in and they do it really well. They execute really well. They all know where they should be, and they have got the gun skill to compete. That said, Audacity, the key for them is going to be coming in and disrupting that, forcing them to play in unexpected ways, forcing them to rotate, forcing them to move, forcing them to change what they want to do.
Normally I would say there's no pressure on either of these teams really, but this is the one matchup both these teams need to win no matter what the consequences are. But we will go to picks and bans. Go on, Ace, start us off.
I think for me, both teams are going to look to keep it simple here. They don't want to overcomplicate things. For me, you can count out Cafe and Villa. We've got Clubhouse and Consulate coming in as the auto bans there. I think it's Coastline or Border. I think we're going to see a bit of Border here. Let's mix it up. We've just had a Coastline. I'm going to go Border.
I'd love to see a bit of Border.
I'm going to go Border.
I rate that pick. I'm going to have to pick something different just so that there is a winner between us both.
Or 2 losers.
Or at least guarantee,
As is all too often the case.
Or 2 losers. We will have to see. I agree with you. I don't think we're going to see Villa. I don't think we're going to see Bank. I don't think we're going to see Cafe. Are we going to see a repeat of Coastline? Perhaps. The Premiership does have a bit of a habit of playing 2 of the same map in one evening, so I'm going to go Coastline.
I'm a bit worried. Let's have a look at the first 2 bands.
Just call it a day.
Yeah, you know what?
See you later.
Yeah, you guys make great
Terrible
analysts. It's all
lineup.
good.
I mean, we've had a couple right tonight, but
Okay.
that is an absolute terrible start.
What do you think now? What do you think now?
Don't try and patronise me, Harry. Don't try and patronise me, bringing me in here, asking me to pick 1 out of 3. I've lost.
Patronise him just a little
I know
bit.
when I've lost. I know when I've lost.
Bank.
I'm trying not
Grand
to
final, man.
patronise you,
It's a
but-
grand final
It's
match.
all coming down to it.
Okay, let's be real here. None of us would have predicted that by a mile, would
No.
we?
We need to get the squid that used to do the predictions for the football. We need some sort of squid that can do the map predictions for us, because we've got that wildly incorrect. Bank is probably the last map I would have expected.
A large fish tank, that's exactly the addition that we need to this desk. I can't see that causing any problems at all.
dear.
Bank, I think, is going to be a really interesting one. How do I see that going between these two teams? So we know how important the Rome game is. Now, interestingly, we said an awful lot about Joe. Forget it. Forget it. I don't think he's playing. We saw the roster
Joe's not
change
here.
come in from production. Joe's not going to be here. So that's Enclave's main roaming force gone. So I think that, to me, now brings in advantage Audacity. That being said, we need to see Soprancy, we need to see Sachua, we need to see more of them than we did yesterday. That much is going to be important. If they can get out there and they can dominate and they can keep Enclave guessing, I think Enclave, as I say, they like to play in a certain way. They like to play to what their plan is, and that is usually difficult to do on a roam clear if you do the roam clear well, because you're moving around, you're switching location, and you're keeping them guessing. And I think that's something Enclave will probably struggle to get to grips with on the defence.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it's their
Anthony.
adaptation just in general, though, isn't it? They really do struggle to kind of find themselves and get out of certain situations, which we have seen time and time again. But it's what the people at home had to say, and have a look at the old Twitter results. And it is 75% Audacity. Yeah, standard, I think.
It's another big margin, and I think I would hasten to agree.
Big margins. I mean, it was pretty much the same yesterday. We saw 15%, I think it was, come out for Enclave yesterday, so maybe that's just their fan base.
Here we go. IV from Audacity says, I promise we will actually win something. Maybe we're just a LAN team.
Who knows? I like that. I like that.
If you make it, then at least you got to, well, back it up, don't you, I suppose?
We're never going to find out until they get there.
That's
If
it, we
they ever
can't
get there.
disprove it
We
yet.
can't disprove it. It's a brilliant thing.
They could be the next empire on LAN. We have no idea. I love that.
And we've got Access. Hopefully tonight isn't as crazy. Well, you never know. We'll have to see what happens with Enclave here. Never know. But as we say, we are going to bank a last match of the evening between Audacity and Enclave Gaming. Guys, take it away.
Going to one of the biggest maps that we see played here. Lots of rotations, lots of staircases, lots of roaming. This one is going to be a free-for-all, I feel. There's going to be kills left, right and centre, all up and down this map as we head into bank. It's going to be our final fixture of the night, Audacity versus Enclave.
Selfishly, I'm really thrilled at this, because you know just how much I love Bank, and I'm so glad that we get to cast it here tonight, because of course, for anyone that isn't aware, Bank is being removed from the competitive map pool and it is being replaced with Theme Park. Now, we're still playing Bank in the Prem, and that's a beautiful thing, because Bank is a brilliant map.
So, we have Hibana and Thatcher coming in as the first two bans. Hibana, not too much of a surprise on Bank. There is some very important hatch play, particularly around that basement defence, but also potentially around those two mid-floor sites as well. We've got the Echo coming in as the first defender to be banned out. And ooh, how about that? That's a bit of a spicy pick there, X.
That's unbelievable. When have we ever seen a Jaeger ban?
I'm not sure I've ever seen one in Prem.
They do realise they can't use Wamai. Has somebody told them that?
I hope they realise that. I would expect them to realise that.
This is going to be nasty. Is that a target ban, or is it just a utility removal? What are we looking at there? Because a Jaeger ban is crucial. It isn't something we see at all. Jaeger is irreplaceable at the moment in the players and the operators that we have available in competitive Siege. There is nobody that does what Jaeger can do. So to have her removed, that's massive, and that's just going to mean that throwables are everything. We can already see Audacity doubling down on that. They're bringing the Ying, they're bringing the Buck for the grenades. I'd like to see a third operator thrown in for the grenades as well. Maverick's got grenades now.
I've got a little feeling that this Jaeger ban might just work against Enclave to say that they've come out on the defense first. That's what makes it strangest of all, that they've almost put themselves on the back foot to begin with, not having that Jaeger. As you say, once we see Wamai come into the mix, then that might change a little bit, and we could almost see that Jaeger ban rate go up because he is so good on the roam. He is such a dangerous operator to play against on defense, and with the option of Wamai, it might just allow us to see that sort of rotation in terms of operators. But right now, this one could be a sticky situation for Enclave. I'm interested to see how they work against all these throwables without a Jaeger.
It's almost like when you see a double hard breacher ban on Bank. It's just one of those teams wants to watch the world burn, and someone is just saying, remove the Jaeger, and we're gonna manage without it. Can they manage without it for 6 rounds on defense? I'm not sure if Enclave can, because the pressure is just going to be so great. They're going for a mute Mozzie roam, not unusual, but very difficult to pull off. Bank has a lot of different access points, and because it's so big, there is opportunity to get your drone in a position where you can still have a great line of sight and some really good visuals, and the Mozzie pests and the mute jammers aren't going to affect onto it because the map is so big that you can still be seen. That being said, a lot of the focus is going to be in the janitors, and that's very early to drop off that position. Both players there, they're going to spend 40 seconds or so. Mayukrip's going to find a kill for his troubles, but still dropping all the way back down onto site. Thor now the only person that is going to be inside of that archives area.
Mayukrip has done a job there. He's got the first kill. He's taken Sproncy off the board, and now that's the Capitao gone as well. Very important utility gone there. Not wasted as much time as you might like from your roam game. As I said, the roam game here on Bank, extensive and also very important. We can see Satur just holding an angle here. He knew that the castle was in elevators, but he will lose his life to Rizuko, who will get a great kill with the UMP. And a second onto Ivy, decapitating him up on the top floor there. And that is now advantage Enclave as they come in with a real statement here in round number 1.
Jaeger or not, it does not matter. If your roam game is going to be that effective and you're going to be that cheeky with getting kills out there, you can get away with losing out on a little bit of utility. Thor still inside of that archives. I don't think he's been droned in there, Tim. I think he's playing the Vigil. I think he's maybe got his cloaking device on, and nobody really knows his location. Still so extended compared to the site that we are playing, which is usually, historically, a site that you will anchor on. You don't often see a roam game. It isn't necessary that Slow Peak comes out. Jota working off a bit of intel there, but I can only feel that his days are numbered. Access is going to be in position here to start pushing on around, and push on round he will, very slowly, very surely, picking up that kill. And well, that is going to be another kill for the roam game, and we've not really seen any direct pressure onto site as of yet.
Just off screen there, X has just pulled off one of the most beautiful catches of a water ball I've ever seen. He nearly knocked it off. Honestly, his reflexes were lightning. Anyway, moving back into this, we've got Zumi moving in there and getting himself a great headshot on 2 runs. So that's the first of 4 kills that he's going to need here. It is stacked against him, and against him it will go as Mayukrip moves in and gets that the final kill onto Zumi to close out round number 1. First round in the bag for Enclave there. That's a good start for them. They need to build on this. They've won the easier site. That much is to be said. They are moving into more difficult locations now.
They've won the easier site, but they've not won it in an easy way. I think they've recognised that with Jaeger banned, they need to come up with a little bit of something new, a little bit of something different, and that thing that was different was the roam game. They really committed to the roam game because they knew that they couldn't deal with that utility exchange down on in the site, because nades would be too much, flash grenades would be too much, and there would only be so much that they could do with C4s and to try and deny that push coming through, particularly with Ying being brought. So they've done a really good job there of winning downstairs, but in a very unconventional way.
Heading towards round number 2 with pace then, as Enclave come in and take that first round. They're going to be looking to build up as much of a lead here as they can on defense. This is where it's going to get a little bit more difficult for them. They head into their secondary site, which is going to be open area and cafeteria. Never an easy one to defend, but certainly more popular in recent months. This one can be a little bit tricky for me for Enclave, because they are a newer team, and it is one of those sites that sometimes you just need that little bit more experience to hold here.
It requires a lot of coordination. and it's very difficult because typically you will leave only 1 or 2 people in the site. Now, they've reinforced the hatches upstairs, but we've still got 2 players up here. That's a bit dangerous. You need a way to get back down onto site. I'm not sure if Access there is just running a bit of a decoy for his teammate, just in case Jackal was being brought, because there's no real reason for him to run upstairs there alongside the Vigil, aside from just trying to mask some footprints.
Definite potential there, as you say, just working alongside that Vigil. Vigil generally being seen as a little bit of a selfish operator, does look after himself, doesn't bring the utility that an operator like Mozzie will bring, can do a very similar job, Mozzie, on the roam, but obviously offers that information denial and gains information for his team as well, whereas the Vigil is pretty much looking after number 1. Thor needs to get himself out there and get some kills to make that worthwhile, because otherwise, if you lose that Vigil early in the round without picking up any kills for your trouble, you're pretty much putting your team in a 5 versus 4 and not really contributing much utility either to the defensive effort.
And Thor's seen a lot of pressure already. We've got somebody watching the skylight on main stairs. Zumi looking to push his way on through, and Thor has sensed that and will back off. Axis going to find an early kill onto Ivy, and pre-fire shots go out, but it is going to be a successful kill for Zumi, as we see kills trade in either direction. But I think that Audacity have come off worse there. They've lost out on the Zephyr. So any of the Maestro cameras left down in sight are going to be intact and still working. And well, the Vigil, he's wasted a little bit of time. But as you say, Tim, there's nothing really left over from the utility that he brings. Access still seeing a bit of pressure in form of drone inside of Tellers and Archives, but he's now going to buddy up a little bit more with Rizuku as he's inside of Tellers as well. Just watching for anybody pushing down those main stairs. Slow progress here for Audacity, and this is one of the dangers of Bank. It is a big map and there's a lot for the attackers to do. There's a lot of ground to cover and you really can't waste any time.
Run's just holding the angle vertically up towards top floor. He's not going to have any joy just yet, and that is a bad C4 toss, but he will make up for it with the exact same shot that we saw Rizuko hit with the UMP. They are putting those poor guns, really, in the Valkyrie and the Castle to great use over distance up towards that top floor angle there, and that is certainly one that Audacity are going to have to learn. You can't be losing players to that 2 rounds in a row, and Enclave will just give themselves a slight advantage in this round here. 40 seconds left on the board, and Audacity need to think on their feet. They need to change things up and definitely need a kill or 2 in the next 10 to 15 seconds.
A lot of work to do here for Audacity, and you can see the bottlenecking at the bottom of these main stairs. A peek's going to come out, but you can't shoot at the feet. You've got to go for at least upper body or head. Rizuku gets away with his life, and with 20 seconds left, he's happy to play cat and mouse. He's happy to run away because J-Oats is forced to push down and get the kill. You've not got time for default cameras. There's only 15 seconds left. The diffuser's going to get recovered, but Mayu Crip again with 1 kill. Runs backing him up from the hatch. A tough task there to find 3 kills in as many seconds, and Mayu Crip closing things out.
I've said it countless times, Enclave are here to learn, they're here to develop, they're here to grow, and that is exactly what we are seeing from them today. They are taking those beatings that they've had earlier on in the Premiership. They are obviously watching them back, they're learning, they're thinking, how are teams beating us? What are we finding difficult to play against? And now they are putting it to good use. We can see Maunikrip coming out there, obviously that 1 versus 3 gaining him some real confidence. He's now 4-0, and he is beginning to really hurt Audacity. They need to start shutting him down.
Audacity needs to start getting some kills and moving a little bit quicker, because we're seeing so far such one-dimensional pushes. All they had going for them was main stairs. That really isn't going to cut the mustard. You need to be getting control of top floor. You need to be opening up stock. You need to be getting control of the windows, getting square stairs, getting archives. There's no excuse to have it all at some point within the round and then just pick where you want to try and push on through, but they're not dealing with the roam game. They're just moving so slowly, and this is why we really didn't think we were going to see Bank as a map, because that isn't necessarily a criticism on Audacity solely, because I think we're going to see similar stuff from Enclave when they get themselves onto the attack. Bank is a difficult map to play.
It certainly is, and that's why I suggested that the roam game was going to be so important, because it can be difficult to clear out. There's so many rotation options of staircase, hatches, that you can move up and down floors. You can move east to west very quickly on this map through a number of routes, so it's very difficult to second guess what those roamers are going to do, and we're seeing some real power for it. We need to see an improvement from Thor if he's going to keep bringing that Vigil. That's important. Really, I put an extra burden on Vigil as a roamer. yes, a Jaeger, you're looking for him to waste a minute and a half. If he gets a kill, that's great, because he's applying ADSs to site, he's bringing utility to the team. Where Vigil doesn't offer that, he has to waste 2 minutes. He has to waste more time. He has to get 2 kills. He can't rest on his laurels. He can't be sort of allowed to slide at a lower standard like Jaeger does on a roam.
Thor's finding himself in a tough position again. Zumi from the hatch, catching him out on a late, and I don't want to say unnecessary, but I'm going to say it, unnecessary rotation. If you play in Vigil, pick where you want to hide. Hide away and decide, are you going to be the lance? Are you going to be the rapier that's pushing in and out? Or are you going to hide away and lurk for the entirety of the round? Just pick one and do it. It's likely to work. You can't afford to be making those rotations at that point. But a great kill from Zumi nonetheless. That deals with a little bit of the roam game that's going on, and it's just going to give them that slight boost. Kill within the first minute, especially a no-risk kill from a guy like that is going to be just what Zumi is after. Rizuku inside of elevators, and this is called Laxing's position. He likes to sit here and just try and get kills. No one really seems to drone him. Is Rizuku going to suffer the same good fortune and be misdroned? Jayota finds one onto runs, and all of a sudden Audacity are starting to wake up.
This is better from Audacity. We saw them get the opening kill onto Thor in round number 2, but they weren't able to capitalise on it. They weren't able to close down and clear out those other roamers, and they still haven't got Rizuku. He will drop with the fadeaway grenade just to remove that castle barricade. I think he will have got a glimpse of the Audacity player in main lobby there, and I'm sure that call out has gone. Rizuku now looking to just work his way up blue stairs. He could well catch Jayota on the hop here if Jayota isn't careful. Out comes the Nitro to open that up, and it just looked like he might get a view through, but there is a brick wall in between those two players. Maunicrip stepping up for his team once again, but he will be traded straight back out by Sertua. Now leaves us in a 4 versus 1 as Jayota gets Rizuku, and access will be finished off by a Jayota. Big round for him and big round for Audacity as they get themselves on the board, and that is 2-1. And this is something that we've seen so much out of at least 2 of the fixtures that we've seen tonight, where a team just takes its time to warm up and grow into the game. Is this going to be the start of a couple of rounds back-to-back for Audacity?
Never matters who gets the first round, it matters who gets the last. That's the crucial thing to remember here. We often see teams going ahead and coming out of that gate sprinting, but often these matches are more of a marathon than a sprint, and you've got to be prepared to finish very strong indeed. Audacity really stepping up the game there. Jayota is one of the players that we're going to be looking toward tonight to have a massive evening. He did quite a good job yesterday. He was putting up the kills, but he did cost a little bit in terms of deaths. He needs to try and switch that around a little bit tonight. I think he's probably doing a little bit better already. That last round's going to have helped him in that regard. But so far, Audacity, they're getting a number now. They're understanding how the roam game of Enclave works, and they're doing a good job to try and shut it down. They recognise we've got to move quickly, we've got to do a lot of droning, and if we can get an early opening kill, that's brilliant.
Thor, Vigil, 0 kills. That needs to change this round, because if Audacity are able to come in and take him out and put themselves at man advantage again, and as you say then, push onto that roam game and clear it out as well as they did in the last round, this is going to be 2-all, make no mistake about it. To be honest with you, I would like to see an attack onto site here. It's not something that we've really seen. This has been all about the roam game. How many kills have you actually seen in sight as it has been so far in this map? We haven't really seen any. They've all been out on the roam, so I would maybe like to see Audacity just switch it up. They've got the thermite, just get in there and try and open that site up, see if they can get a diffuser down, play the objective, don't just come in here TDM style.
It looks as though that could be a slight intention here, as we do have Sapronsa and Jayota pushing through that dirt tunnel. I did think Thor would maybe hold that for a slight bit longer, but obviously a little bit worried about the roam clear and the drones that are going to be coming on through. You can see just how aggressive he's playing, and he's obviously really thirsting after that engagement. He knows he needs to make an impact here and grab himself a kill, because at this point he's better off picking an ACOG and just sitting himself down on site and being there to impact in the late part of the round. That is something that I do worry about a little bit with Enclave. I think if Audacity just focus onto the site, which it looks as though that's what they're going to be doing now, they could be unstuck very quickly, particularly if players like Ivy are there to cut off a lot of rotation. Drone work now going to go out from access. That's going to be the Mozzie inside of that server room, just threatening at the threshold of the door. but he's all the way upstairs. He can't impact onto that. He's going to have to relay that information to his team and hope that they do something about it. The way that Audacity are setting up here, they're not that bothered. The hatch is reinforced into server. That's brilliant. They can... Oh, it isn't. It's open. Apologies. The hatch being open now means that J-Ota actually has to hold that as a hard angle throughout the entirety of this push, and that's actually going to tie him up. I think that Enclave maybe need to read into that a little bit more.
Certainly do at this point. They need to be very cautious because they've only got one man down on site. Not the end of the world when they have control of the hatches that they do, but they need to think about that as Supronsi steps in and will remove that one man from sight. That's Run's gone, and Supronsi now has an opportunity to get the diffuser down. I don't think there's an angle onto him from the hatch that is being watched, and Enclave will try to drop back into sight but lose 3 men extremely quickly. Thor gets the only one, and it will be the planter that he gets. So Maunicrypt now finds himself in a 1 versus 4. He gets the first of those, but Ivy will step up, grab that diffuser and look to get it down. Maunicrypt gets the second onto Satua. That finds him now in a 1 versus 2, but the diffuser is likely to go down. He does clear the Claymore off. He can move down blue stairs now. The pressure is on though. The siren signals that the diffuser is down. 35 seconds. He will be cleared out as soon as he moves in to the security office. Ivy will finish things off for Audacity there. Better round from them, and I was pleased to see them with that attack directly onto site. But as you picked up partway through that, I think they got a little bit lucky there that they weren't just hurt on the flanks a little bit more, and multitasking is one of those facets that makes a good team a great team, and Audacity could just do with being able to keep maybe one eye on the direct side push and one eye on those roamers.
Absolutely. And whilst they got the plant down, they did an exceptional job of focusing and realising, hey, there's a lot of guys on the roam here. Let's just push the site. There's only one guy playing site. That was brilliant. But that information obviously wasn't exchanged. We had a great overhead view of that engagement. We saw Runs dying as the Valkyrie in the popular position inside a blue corridor to C4 off the plant. That was a great kill. Now they flash grenade it out and then started going for the plant. So they had enough information there, and they realised that they could do that because they had the entirety cleared. An operator that I'd really like to see Audacity bring into their rotation here would be a Nomad. I think it'd just free them up so much, because the way that Enclave are playing is the roaming. They're getting out there. I reckon Thor would hit all 3 Nomads if you put them out there, because he's just here, there and everywhere and causing that nuisance.
With a Nomad there, the approach was perfect. 4 men out on the roam, get a couple of air jabs on the stairs. You've basically frozen 4 men out of sight. All they can do is drop hatches, at which point you're going to massacre them. And yeah, I think you're absolutely right there. Get the Nomad into the mix, and that would really, you know, that would be that multitasking element for Audacity there without actually having to directly challenge the roamers.
Absolutely. All square at 2 apiece. We did say that this one was going to be a close one, and neither team so far really running away with it. But I think good adaptation on the side of Audacity. Now, what are they going to do here? Because basically, they spent a lot of time roam clearing, they moved very slowly, and they didn't manage to have enough time to execute onto site in the previous round that we saw this. I believe it was round number 2. Now, Enclave, on their site location choices as a whole, why are they avoiding CEO so much? I'm not quite sure. I know they're having a little bit of success here and there, but I think they need to try a little bit different of an approach, maybe go into a different bomb site, because as you commented before, Tim, this one is exceptionally difficult. Thor, Vigil, Insight, question mark.
Fair question. Fair question, X. You know, you've got to, if you... Thor, as I've said, you have an extra burden upon you as a roamer. You have to waste more time than other roamers. You have to get more kills than other roamers, because that is all that you are bringing to the table. That Vigil scan that can be seen, that Vigil interference that can be seen on the drones, it is over a huge area in real terms. You can't necessarily tell which floor he's on. So, yeah, you can close out almost a third of a map like this, where the attackers have to go in and start face-checking things to try and find you, and it wastes an inordinate amount of time. If they're picking those signals up in and around the site, they're going to make a good guess that, guess where Vigil might be? I think he's in sight.
A little bit of a giveaway that IV going to slow peek round, and Maunicrypt will fall. That's essentially going to be site control here, as there isn't really anyone else left to impact. Runs is going to give it his best bet, but IV on a tear. It's a great weapon to be doing it with. Zafir has got so much utility for that push, but he was on his own, and Access has shut all of that progress down, which is a big shame, because there was potential there for Audacity to double down and capitalise on that. As it stands, he's gone in, got 2 kills, and then he's had to get out again because he's been taken out. Supronsi Bronzy taking out Thor, and things still looking pretty good for Audacity. Despite Ivy losing out there and not being traded, he's gone in and he's made a big difference. Now the Roamers are panicking. Now they're trying to get back onto site. It's all down to Rizuku, and look at the pressure that's coming on in. Sachua is going to be the one to find it, but it could have been any number of the Audacity players.
Well played, Audacity there. I think, I've never really been one to sort of, overly criticise. I prefer to look on the positive, and maybe explain my line of thinking and where that goes. And in that situation there, Thor on the Vigil, obviously we were critical of him remaining in sight there, and it's not the remaining in sight that is the problem there. It's the operator that you're taking and remaining in sight with. If you're going to play site-based, look at the lineup there. There is no Maestro. If you're going to play site brace, bring the Maestro, have the Alder. Bring that utility for your team. I'm sure Vigil maybe is a comfort pick for him. He probably likes the weapons, he's probably familiar with him, and he just feels comfortable on the operator. But if you're going to play inside, Vigil doesn't really offer much there. We saw him being challenged from the hatches, and he's activating his shield so that he can't be seen by drones, but it's not really benefiting you or your team at that point. So bring somebody else that's got that utility that's going to assist the team.
Bring a Clash. Really throw caution to the wind.
Let's not get carried away.
Bring the Clash. We've seen Clash. Clash is great. We all love Clash.
Clash can be great. It's very tough to use. Very, very tough to use effectively.
As you say, I feel like we're getting on you a little bit here, Thor, and it is only from a point of interest and just from wanting to start that conversation and to understand the thought process behind it, because from the outside looking in, it looks as though a different operator could do a very similar job, but what do we know? Moving in, Audacity. They've started to ramp things up a little bit now. We can see that based on the kills. Jayota, double positive there, 6 and 3. That's important. We need him to have a good night tonight. Zumi as well, 4 and 2. Really important impact kills coming out from both those players. And well, I'm sure that it is going to continue. Last time we saw them attacking onto this objective, they had a very clear focus. All they were interested in was pushing down onto site. We saw a defuse plant attempted. It didn't quite get a chance to go down before all of the kills came through. But the intent was there, and that's great because it shows that they're not just sat there playing TDM. The Roamers, they're playing in exactly the same locations, and I think Audacity are going to start to get a little bit of a read onto this.
40 seconds into the round then, and we can see early progress coming in from Audacity. Sorry, they are building confidence now. They've got 3 rounds in a row. They are willing to push in quickly. Ivy and Jayota already taking control over the servers. This is a question I would ask of Enclave as well. Have a little watch of the pro teams when they're defending basement. What do we see? We see a man on blue stairs. We see a man playing behind server stacks. We see that area being held in a hard fashion. We don't allow 2 attackers in there within the first 40 seconds to just take that as free real estate, open the wall up and have that default plant spot available. You need to defend that a little bit harder, because otherwise this is what starts happening. Sachua picks off Thor there and you just start losing by attrition, because all of a sudden the attackers can just sit and hold angles because they've got all their utility work done. The default plant site is prepped. They're ready to go.
And this utility exchange can't last for half of the round. You need to burn a little bit of that earlier, especially when you're not playing with a Jaeger. Now, okay, Jaeger, without Jaeger, it would be hard to hold blue stairs, but you've still got to give it a little bit of a go. You can't give all that space and time up for free because the attackers have just got so long to work with. So Pronto going to be getting the plant down. Slightly unorthodox position. He's going to be exposed there. He's going to get taken down by runs. Obviously, a little bit of information there. And a slew of kills once again. Jayota coming out on top as he manages to pick up 2. Wide peak comes round from Jayota, and he will actually be cut down on his reign of terror. Runs now in the 1 versus 3. A lot of work to do as the diffuser has been secured and is likely to be attempted to be planted. He swings out. He has to start taking engagements there as his location is known, and Ivy, ever consistent, is able to pick up that last one.
Audacity will be very happy with a 4-2 half on the attack there, moving now on to the defence. But defence without the Jaeger, as we've already commented. We'll see how much of an how much of an effect, how much of an impact that has had over Enclave in that beginning half. Audacity slowly creeping towards that first Premiership win. Could it be here and could it be now? 4-2, they are moving ever closer. 3 more rounds for them. We'll see them come in. And I know, X, that you love a Warden pick.
I love a Warden pick. Ever since we saw his trailer releasing him, and it was like secret agent style, really cool, really suave. I love a Warden pick. I think that's great, because you know what they're going to try and do? They're going to try and hold blue stairs.
And that's what you've got to do. This is what I commented on the last time that we saw Enclave defend that area. They were just giving up servers and blue stairs far too easily to Audacity. What you need to see, it's going to be difficult this, mind you, because what do you normally have on blue stairs? You have 2 or 3 ADSs to prevent those throwables coming in and forcing you off blue stairs. So without that, it's going to be a tricky one.
It is going to be tricky. You do also usually have the Titan Killer, the FO12, Ella's shotgun, formidable weapon, and very famously played in that position. Now, IV doesn't necessarily need to do it in exactly the same way. You can get a little bit of you know, experimental with this if he so wishes. There is a couple of grenades on the side of the attackers, 4 to be exact. So the glasses aren't going to help you against the nades, but they are going to help you against the stuns, and that could do a little bit of a number. You've also got the shotgun, and I think maybe a little bit of unpredictability, maybe not expecting him to be as crazy as to play up there without any ADSs could work in his favour as well, but we'll have to see.
I think just don't hold it too hard is the answer. Once you start getting pushed, drop down, maybe move behind server stack. I would still favour the shotgun over the range of left-hand side of server stack to single door bottom of stairs.
Yeah.
I think the shotgun's winning that out probably 8 times out of 10 in a fight. So for me, yeah, just hold it blue stairs, let them know you're there, waste 30 seconds, waste a minute, and then push yourself back behind server stack and just keep yourself in there, and basically that's where you're going to end your life. How long can you survive for?
Exactly, all he's got to do is waste a good portion of time. We're seeing a bit of a roam clear coming out here. Thor is trying to use that angle. We've seen it all too many times this evening. And the biggest problem with that angle, Tim, is that the attackers or whoever's at the top is exposing only their head. So the defenders or whoever's at the bottom has only got one thing to shoot at, and that's why we've seen some really tasty headshots on that particular angle. Not one that you want to be peeking down without a lot of information. Thor just droning himself down those main stairs. He knows that somebody's playing pretty tight, and a very slow start here from Enclave. IV, as suggested, he's playing loose and fast, but Thor will fall. Bit of aggression there. Sachua took a good portion of damage. I can only think that Thor aggressively pushed on down, and the shotgun was greeting him on the wide swing.
Some progress being made by Enclave here, just looking to clear out and open that hatch. Ivy looks like he's just dropped back inside of the site there. He's just, his tactic here is to play himself tight against walls and just wait for them to move in within range, the close range that he's looking for of that shotgun. It looks like he's just going to dip out of there. He could well get caught. He's just head glitching the bomb there, just looking to see. That's not a great angle to be holding with a shotgun, though. It's going to be tricky. He needs to be switching onto his secondary if that's what he's going to do. And that's exactly where he has gone now. We can see the Maverick just opening up that hatch, and we've got IV. He's getting aggressive. He got himself a good few kills in the last couple of rounds, and he's just looking now for every single one that he can. I think he's just aware of the drone, but he will miss the shots on it. Damage will be put onto him as well. Not an awful lot, but enough to back him into lockers.
At this point, I'm saying on Audacity, who's rotating? Who's making that challenge up main stairs? Because so far, they're just pushing us back and back and back, and there's only so much we can play off that mirror window. Runs, he's reading into that. He's recognised there's possibly going to be some pressure coming on a flank. He's got himself upstairs as there's still a utility exchange and a battle going on down inside of the site. Runs now in an exceptional position to cut off any sort of rotate. He's recognised how much they've managed to push Audacity back, and he's aggressively pushing on through side. Kills coming in thick and fast as he hits a double kill and continues to aggress on through. I think there's a player directly behind him that he's maybe not noticed, but Access is going to be the one to finish the final 2. And Enclave, what a surprise. It didn't look like they were going to take that round, but I tell you what, Runs was a big part of that.
Zumi's got questions to answer there, I'm afraid. Just in tight in that little brick wall corner outside of the double door from Garage, and it was just ultimately a little bit too slow on the uptake there as who was it that was moving in? Runs moved in. He got himself a double kill, and then he moved through completely unaware of Zumi hiding in the corner there. And I tell you what, if he starts hitting his shots onto Runs, I think he probably takes straight through onto Access as well. There's a double kill to be had, and he just wasn't quite quick enough on his reactions, and that will allow Enclave back into this fixture, and 5-2 would have looked very different to 4-3.
It would have looked great, and that's why I got it right, but I was on the wrong team. I said Audacity should have rotated, and I still believe they should. Even though they're on the defense, even though they've got everything working in their favor, that's the time to rotate, because it took Enclave so long to react to the fact that, yep, we can just rotate and hit main stairs. Had there been someone even just halfway up main stairs watching it and get a kill, all of a sudden, if you're on the side of Enclave, you're thinking, I've just died on main and he's pushing up. That's the call, and everyone panics because everyone's like, hang on, there's a hatch open above me here, inside a site. There's a hatch open inside of security, and all of a sudden, blue stairs is exposed as well. No one's allowed then to push in. Access isn't able to get access into the site and do the business, and all of a sudden it's a different round. Audacity missed a little bit of a trick there, and I think a bit more killer instinct on their side.
That's it. I think it's just having those players that are so eager to get kills that it's screaming through their mind, how can I get onto a flank? How can I aggress onto them? How can I get an angle that favours me rather than playing into their attacking angle? And at that point, you've got somebody like a Joystick who's just going to go screaming up main stairs because he knows there's an opportunity there. And you just need somebody who's going to smell blood in the water and he's going to go chasing it down like that Great White.
Or me. I can do that.
Sometimes.
I played Joystick once, you know, in ranked. On Outback.
I've only heard this story 35 times. So. How did it go?
0-1.
Did you?
Yeah. I clutched as well.
I've heard Joystick tells that same story. About how he once played XR Striker in ranked. Heading into round number 8 proper then, we are 50 seconds into the action phase. 4-3 now in favour of Audacity. They got themselves some great momentum built up towards the end of their attacking rounds, but their first defensive round did not go in their favour. Enclave managing to get in and claim that one and just put a little bit of a stopper on their progress, and I think there were some missed opportunities for Audacity there that we were talking about, particularly flank options. Again, we're not seeing the Nomad brought, we're not seeing the Gridlock brought, so there was no real presence from the attackers that were going to prevent Audacity from moving up the main staircase and just aggressing through cafeteria or even through tellers and archives, whichever angle they preferred, and just really putting the pressure on to Enclave on their attack.
And that's the lack of sort of pressure that we've been talking about so much. And it really does come down to killer instinct. Audacity just finding themselves like a rabbit caught in the headlights at the moment. They're doing exactly the right things. They've got the correct setups, but they're just not executing as well as they perhaps could be. They've done a better job here because we are at about a minute. Now, it's still going to be difficult because there's no ADSs, so there isn't any potential to try and burn utility for attackers coming on through. They're going to be relying on those C4s, of which they should have a couple. We've got the mirror, we've got the Goyo. Sorry, IV, Caster's Curse. Access is going to find the kill onto the Goyo, and Mycrypt is going to start baiting out that utility, but nobody in position. Toxic Babe Canister will come out from way downtown, but doubling up as well. That isn't something that you can afford to be doing as Runs picks up a kill in the meantime onto Jota.
5 versus 3 now. Mycrypt with the diffuser in hand. He's going to move in again. He knows at least one Toxic Babe and a Nitro has come out, so he could have the opportunity to actually make this stick, and that is exactly what he will do as Access gets the kill onto Sachua, covering his planter there. Always an important part of any attacking team, and that leaves us now in a 5 versus 2. And Sopronsi looking just to aggress up here, but he has got it all to do. Angles galore are being held by the attackers. Thor will get a kill onto Zumi. Meanwhile, Rizuko has been downed, but we see Sopronsi taking shots more and more as the round goes flawlessly to Enclave, and they are fighting back here. They're getting a foothold back in this map, and they are saying that they want this win.
Momentum Enclave now, I'm afraid. It really isn't looking great for Audacity. They're not pacing and spacing their utility out well enough. We saw a Toxic Babe Canister, which was brilliant, really well placed, thrown from way inside of lockers. That's fantastic. However, don't follow it up with a C4 because no one's there. You've already created the area effect. You've already got the crowd control.
You've dispersed them.
Exactly. You've dispersed the crowd. Don't throw a C4 into the mix as well. That's for 30 seconds time after he's thrown another Toxic Babe Canister and again dispersed. Pace your utility. Had they done that, it could have gone very differently, because then all of a sudden we're seeing Sachua getting himself in a position where he feels like he has to aggress because he is on that smoke. He's maybe not got any canisters left because he hasn't paced them out, or spaced them out, should I say, sufficiently, and all of a sudden he's getting caught in a crossfire. That being said, Enclave, hats off to you. The crossfires that you were establishing, the pressure from Garage, Hatch and Insider servers, it's the trifecta. It's exactly what you need attacking onto that site.
Certainly is. We are 4-all coming into round number 9 here, and no surprise that we see this one so close. Both teams fighting for their Premiership lives effectively, because this really is the battle against relegation, and it is the battle to get themselves into one of those playoff spots, and just the opportunity to gain a different type of experience in that best of 3 situation that the playoffs will offer.
Bank, sometimes it might be seeing the best of 3 as well. Maybe there is hope yet. I do love Bank, but I think it shows tonight how exciting this has been. There's loads to talk about in terms of utility exchange. There's loads going on in terms of roam game, and I genuinely think it's entertaining. And these two teams are doing a pretty good job of that so far, all even at 4 apiece. And finally, we're seeing upstairs, we're seeing CEO. Now, this is historically a site where the repels remain king, and you want to try and be picking people off, or at least covering angles and rotations from very early on into the round. Opening up the walls inside of the square stairs is extremely important, as that often restricts the attacker's movement. That being said, on the defense, there's loads of potential to get cheeky with some long peaks, and you can see Jota, he's reading into that, and he's on the dock.
50 seconds in, and we've got a strong north side presence from the attackers of Enclave here, and they're really going to want to pick a 3rd round up here so they can put themselves back in that advantage, and only two rounds away from picking up a win here. It really wouldn't surprise me to see this one go 6-all and for it to be a draw, and for that relegation battle to continue, and for Audacity still to not pick up that first win inside of the Premiership. I know Lethal is so keen to speak to them after having actually got that first win. He will be celebrating, I'm sure, but they have got to get it, and that is the point. I still believe that they have the edge here in terms of ability against Enclave. I feel like they've just got that additional experience, that additional preparation there that should allow them the edge to win this. But right now, Enclave know that they're fighting for their lives, and that's how they're doing this, tooth and nail. They are not letting anything go, and they are building confidence as they do so. But Zume will shut short Thor down, and that will be a good opening kill there and leave us in a 4 versus 4 now.
Thor's having a really rough night, struggling to get involved in the way that he wants to. Playing on the Ashe, you're asking for a big impact, you're asking for someone to get out there and get kills. He's getting himself in early engagements, but just can't seem to come out on top. Angles being held now, access. He's going to be on Banana, looking to pressure on into sight, but quite rightly, Audacity aren't exposing themselves all too much. This is where things start to get dangerous. The repels, I spoke about them earlier, they are so key, and Mauyukrip here could do a number to cut off that rotation that is capable from inside of sight. IV going to be trying to find some bullet hole angles there, but the UMP not doing him any favours as Access finds a nice one onto Zumi, followed up by runs, and well, IV is in a pretty tough spot now. He's going to be getting cut down as the crossfire has been established. That's going to be from the repel, and it is now all down to Sachua. He finds one, there was potential to find 2. That's going to be a hip fire shot coming through the repel at that angle, so not a bad kill at all, but a great round there for Enclave once again.
Total devastation coming in from Enclave there, and lives being lost rapidly on the side of Audacity. Inside sight there, great aggression from Enclave. That puts them 5-4. If they can get one more round, they guarantee themselves the draw here. And what I like is, yesterday we saw Enclave struggle. They went against Crazy, and they were always going to struggle, but I still tried to paint that picture of Enclave as a team that are learning and developing and improving, and this shows that they are capable of competing in this league. You know, maybe not against the top team, maybe not against your Crazy and your Fierce, but you know what? Not everybody's going to, but Enclave against your Audacities, your Burning Foxes, so mid-table teams, they're capable of coming out here and giving them a game, and more than just giving them a game, they might actually just give Audacity an L if this continues.
There's a very real possibility of that so far. With the way that we've seen Enclave attacking, it really is nice to see, because they're doing really good things. Something that I harp on about oh so often, especially when looking at the top floor of Bank, is the lack of pressure on windows. That resulted in 2 kills in that last round. It is that important. That North Repel is crucial. Those 2 windows directly into CEO will result in kills in the mid to late round, and that's exactly what we saw. And it's that ability to push from multiple angles. They're not all funneling themselves. They're not running around like headless chickens. They've got such a firm idea of how they want to play and where they need to be at certain points. Their positioning is exceptional on attack.
Round number 10, and another north side approach coming in largely from Enclave here. 3 of their operators approaching with pace, and Access heading towards the main door as well. So what we're going to see here is a clearance of any roamers on the north side of the map. We can see we've got Zume and IV just holding in and around Archives and Tellers there. We've got a couple of men more located on site, and Enclave, they need to gain, it's quite popular to gain control over Archives, use that wall in between Archives and open area just to get that open up, lines of sight, and just start forcing those defenders to move around. There's also the option of taking some good top floor control, clearing out the hatches, using the soft floor, and again, just seeing what vertical angles you can gain down into the open area cafeteria and just see how you can move those players around.
Exactly, it's all about manipulation. There are options when attacking onto this bomb site to really get some good manipulation with opening up some floor and creating those crossfires. The Maverick here is quite a nice choice to open up this lone office wall. Just going to be a line, maybe hop onto the table and get, maybe just all that for just the default camera. Perhaps it's something that is able to be peeked onto at a later date. The floor's going to start to be open now, but I don't think anyone really playing inside of the Archives area. Often a rotation in through and maybe looking to try and catch out Zumi, but Access, you've got to have a bit more intel than that. You can see that drones are working ahead, but Zumi doesn't even need to move his feet or himself. He's going to be able to get a really nice free kill onto Access, and that could cost in this round because up until that point, the positioning had been really good. A nade comes in, it's going to deal about 20 damage. The floor's going to start getting ripped up as well. A C4 toss, unlucky. That's going to hit the door frame, and he's just going to have to spend a bit of time recovering that. I don't think it's going to hit or do any damage, and he will be traded out in return. Runs finding one. Runs has, of course, got the ability to self-revive on the Zephyr, and it looks as though he's going to be afforded that much opportunity.
The withstand will come through and just put Runs back onto a sliver of health. He is one shot in any way, shape or form. Secure will get the kill onto Thor, so that now leaves us 4 versus 3, and this is serious advantage. Audacity looking to bring this back to 5, all taking it to a definite 12 rounds if Audacity are able to secure this round, and that is certainly the way it looks like it's going. Maunikrip and Razuko have definitely got their work cut out for them. Razuko here, if he just holds this angle, it depends how much that Audacity defender moves himself around. He may well have got some joy there, but he doesn't have the pleasure of having that clock on his side. That is the defender's advantage, and with only 15 seconds left to go, the Thermite of Maunikrip will open things up and follow it with a kill onto Jayota. They need to be pushing into sight and getting more kills here, and that is exactly what will happen. IV, however, will clear out Maunikrip at the same time. Razuko, without the diffuser in hand, can only go for kills, and that is not going to be possible, and Audacity will win that one out on time, and that takes us to 5-all now, and this one is going the distance.
Little bit upsetting there to see a grenade remaining on the book. Had he thrown that in, there is no Jaeger. We've been harping on about it the whole map. Jaeger has been banned. You can't be bringing nades and not throwing both of them. Just yeet it into sight. It doesn't matter. Just get it out there. You're going to do something.
I think it's an interesting point you make. It's something I was going to mention during the round was we need to see from both of these teams, if they're looking for areas to improve, which I'm sure they are, they need to be going away and working on the use of their utility. We've seen 2 Nitro throws that have been effectively wasted because they've hit a door frame or they hit the underside of the main stairs. And again, that's an important utility. We see so many Nitro kills, and Nitro kills are free. You're very rarely exposed when you get those Nitro kills. And by going away and working on those utility kills, it's something that you've said, X, it's a big part of your operator. If you're going to play Buck, if you're going to main Valkyrie, you need to be an expert in Nitros, and you need to be able to use that utility. You need to be able to use every facet of that operator to the max for your own advantage.
You've got to squeeze every drop. You know, there's a lot to be had out of all the operators within Siege. Some more than others, but particularly as a Buck, you've got so much potential, and those grenades can't be going unthrown, especially when Jaeger is banned out. Little stat that I want to hit you with. Rounds won with an opening death for Enclave, 7%. It really isn't good for those guys when they go on the back foot from the start. And that was, you know, we saw that in that last round. They didn't result in a win, and they lost access early on. Now, it's not, you know, set in stone. It isn't said that that's going to happen every single time, but it is just an interesting point to make. If they do go on to get that opening kill, they do tend to do a heck of a lot better, and it's probably down to the lack of trade. They need to be able to trade off that opening kill a little bit better.
So we're going to see IV just trying to make a nuisance of himself. As I've said time and time again, the Vigil has to be put to maximum effect on the roam. It needs to be wasting at least 2 minutes of the round before being removed and potentially gaining kills as well. IV's just going to be forced back downstairs here onto the mid floor, I think it is. So he will live to fight another day. We can see some good top floor control has come in for Enclave here, and they're now going to start progressing towards that mid floor. And once they get control of that, they can start thinking about site. We can see from there, we've got all 5 defenders down on site now. So Enclave need to pick up the pace here. They need to recognise that, and they need to start covering the flanks, making sure both staircases are taken care of, and B, applying pressure to site.
Look how free Servers is, and Blue. It's literally the freest thing in the world. Just like that kill. Zumi through the hatch. There is a very narrow angle through that lift where you can get a kill. Its primary use is to get drones out there. But if you're cheeky enough and the stars align in your favour, you can sometimes get yourself a nice cheap one through there. And Access once again falling. I'll throw you back to the stat that I gave you at the start of the round. 7% of the time they're going to lose that. Sorry, they're going to win at the round when they get the opening kill. So a very low percentage, but still Servers and Square Stairs so free. Why is it taking them nearly 2 minutes to recognise that? It hasn't been contested at all. They can get themselves all the way down there and start putting that thermite to good use. And that's exactly what Runs is going to do. He finds a kill, but he's going to thirst after it. It's not going to matter anyway, because he is going to grab that and convert it onto IV. I guess not the end of the world. He has used a bit of utility, and Mayukrip now in position to start opening this wall, but still some work to do. There is a Cade to be dealt with there. That will take another grenade. So a lot of throwables here getting eaten up, doing very basic things. This is the spacing we were talking about, Sachua. It's still very early to start putting those Toxic Babe canisters out there. The diffuser's going to get juggled around a little bit. Thought finds a kill onto Jota. C4 toss comes through as players rush through the site. Zumi hits that C4. That's what we want to be seeing. Kills still trading in either direction, and the diffuser down on the ground. It is going to get recovered, but that Toxic Babe smoke is going to do a great deal of damage. Sepronset, he has got a C4, but it looks as though he's already going to be playing for the retake. He's been droned upstairs. Mayukrip is going to get that plant down on near zero, and Thought providing cover from inside of the garage. How did that result in a kill? He came out of ADS, hit the railing and everything. He's saying don't look, but the whole stream's going to see it. I think he's panicked a little bit there.
I'm not sure what's happened there. There was the invincible rails were in front of him. Everything was on his side. I mean, if I was him, I'd just start shooting into the air in this next round, because if that's how it's going, he's probably going to pick up a kill or two whilst he does.
Self-admittedly in the chat, he said he got the nerves, and that just shows how much it means to both of these teams. It's great to see this meaning so much to the players that are involved. Enclave, they've guaranteed the draw, and Audacity, they're still going to be searching for that first W, although they can drag this back. They could take this to a draw, which I think that'd be quite fitting for us, don't you?
I think it'd be very fair. Both teams have had good spells, both teams have had mistakes, and the other team have capitalised on those as well. So yeah, I think a point apiece would be fair here, but can Enclave upset the apple cart? Can they come out and take that W? Can they put another 3 points on the board and head themselves towards the playoffs? You know, admittedly, probably from themselves, not a position they might have expected themselves to fall into come the end of the season. That will be a huge bonus for them. There's a long way to go yet. But interestingly, X, you hit us with a stat at the beginning of that round, and that is that Enclave, when they take the opening death, only wins 7% of those rounds. So what a mountain to climb for them. What a signal of progression that they're able to start having that resilience to fight back from 4-5 down man advantage.
Very difficult indeed. But it just goes to show how both these teams have really developed during the course of this season. I think they've both got better as the weeks go on, and it's almost really nice that we get to see them coming together at this point, because they've both had a bit of time to get established, both had a little bit of time to grow, and so far they are showing that progression tonight in spades.
So we are now at the sharp end of this match. We have seen 11 rounds of 12, and we are here in round number 12. 30 seconds off the clock, 6-5 Enclave. Guaranteed draw for them. They will be the team that has earned themselves the opportunity to come here and take all 3 points. But there is still 2 minutes and 5 operators between them and the W. There is work to be done here. They need to, first of all, clear the roam game, which is something that they've been doing rather successfully so far. We can see We are downstairs on a Lockers defense again. They had good focus on the site last time. They got themselves good map control, top floor down, then controlled mid floor, got themselves down there, opened up the server wall. They did everything right. Enclave just need to rinse and repeat at this point, win their gunfights, and they will win the match.
They're doing a really good job of winning those gunfights as well. Runs in particular, I think he's had a bit of a tear. You can see there he's on 10 and 8, so he's dying a good amount of the time, but 9 assists as well. Certainly nothing to be sniffed at. Manucrip hitting big numbers, over double positive there at 13 to 6. He's going to be looking...
2 plants.
And playing Thermite. Incredible.
Fragmite.
Probably hitting cost every single round.
Yep.
And that's what you need. You need those players that are going to go out there and are going to be that impact. He's really stepping things up.
His confidence has obviously grown after being bigged up so much yesterday on stream.
It's almost like he got a really good clutch yesterday that's just boosted his confidence. Who'd have thought it? Thought, again, he's going to be banging his head against these main stairs. It's kind of got a bit either way for him, this main stairs push, and I feel like this is the team just saying, look, you do you. All we need you to do is hold on to these main stairs. If you're able to get a kill, great. If not, it doesn't really matter. The problem is he's going up against Zumi. We're going to see in kills exchange on the other side of the map, and Nade getting an important kill there onto the smoke. That could be massive. That's going to remove a lot of ability to try and deny this plant as it comes through. The plant is already starting. Jota is going to try and shut it down, but he can't get the planter. He instead gets the person watching it over the shoulder. Sepron Sig, that must have been to the wire. He did manage to get the kill just moments before the diffuser was about to be confirmed. Now left in that 3 versus 2 in favor of Audacity, but still a very long way to go. Pre-fire shots coming out from Access. He's got some information, but Thor and Access both really out of the action and really out of the fight. Ring around the rosy is going to find the kill onto a very aggressive mirror there and push on in. Such low time remaining. A peek comes through from Zumi. He's going to find the last 2, and that is going to be GG's.
Hero of the hour, Zumi coming in there with an essential double kill at the end, and Audacity just managed to adapt that defense, change things up. They used their pacing of the utility much better to burn that clock and to force Enclave into difficult situations where they had to take risks to try and get that diffuser down. We predicted it coming into it that 6-all was a very possible scoreline, and I think that is a fair reflection of the game we've just seen.
Who would have thought it? A draw, and Enclave, you know, they still surviving, still making sure that they have a chance to come out of that relegation zone. But my goodness, I don't think Audacity kind of expected it either. We completely wrote them off before the match even began. So I think we all have to apologise on that, because they played much better than we expected. And Manucrip, he was going off. He had runs, he had more assists and frags at one stage, like 9 or 10 towards the end. He contributed to so many kills and so many great plays like that flank you spoke about earlier, Ollie.
Oh, definitely. I think, just cast your mind back to the poll that we saw. I think it was 75-15 in and around that ballpark. We've just seen a draw then, and again, such a competitive game of Siege. Both teams very equally matched. A lot of people sleeping on Enclave.
Certainly are. As I've said, you know, everybody in the Premiership this season is able to compete. That is the reality. Obviously, we've seen some able to compete at a slightly better level than others. Burning Foxes are the ones that are really standing out of that lower tier of teams. I hasten not to use the word lower, but, you know, that's the way it is, I'm afraid, when you're looking at teams like Crazy. But I really like what Enclave are doing here, and I really hope to see them more in the future as well. You know, we may well see them in the playoffs yet. Who knows?
I tell you what, imagine if Enclave had Joe tonight. That would have been
the difference.
It would have been a different story. I think I'm right in saying that Thor's the substitute. Don't quote me on that. I think I'm right in saying that. If Joe's in that roster tonight, it would have been a different story. I think they win that all night.
Yeah, it depends on really what could have happened there. And it's league formats like this where we really see improvements on teams. This one is definitely a particular one, because we thought that Enclave, they're getting the experience, but we haven't really seen too much of them here and there. But this is their biggest performance yet by an absolute mile. And Audacity must be a little bit gobsmacked, because they're still looking for the first W.
I think Audacity are going to be shaking, and, you know, they're still going to be looking for that W, and I don't know where they're going to find it at this point.
Zumi's going to find it in Red Corridor. He absolutely dominated that area. He really did. Step 1, Zumi in Red Corridor. Step 2, Profit.
Yeah, that's literally that's all the information and steps you need. But Ollie, let's talk about some of the rounds here, because even with the runs flank you spoke about before, with a lot of good teams, sometimes they'll think about it quite early, they'll flank a lot earlier, but by then it's too late, the teams are already still expecting it. But Run's left that flank so late into that round, they just made the assumption that they're all on site, and it was one of the perfect plays we saw. Even though you only got a 2K, Access managed to clean up straight afterwards.
Yeah, and you know, it really is a difficult thing knowing when to flank and knowing when to apply that pressure. I think Runs did a really good job of it. I think it was maybe a little bit of an afterthought, and it did come as like a, oh, right, I'm not kind of needed down here. Actually, I know what I can do. I can go and flank. Yeah. That's not a problem because you've thought of it and you've had that peace of mind. If someone's on a drone, you can still watch that flank on a drone, but just that access that it gives you into sight can be the opening that you need. In contrast, it was interesting because the point ended up playing out, but I actually wanted the defenders to be the ones that were making that flank because I felt like that was their time.
It's just about learning that aggression on defense is okay. You know, so long as it's tempered and used in the right way, there is nothing wrong with it, and it will pay dividends. We say this so often, the aggressor in Siege generally wins the fights, and if, like you say, the defenders there just have that little bit of extra nerve and just push up there and aggress through onto that hatch, they get a couple of kills there without a doubt.
We saw their characters in-game show a little bit more, you know, they weren't feeling scared or pressured or worried about making some kind of execution. They were playing it as they should do, as themselves. I don't really see much of that in previous games, but I felt like they were the most confident against Audacity, because Audacity aren't playing as well as them at that stage, but like I said, everyone at home wrote them off, we wrote them off. We had absolutely no idea or no chance that they'll make some kind of comeback or make something of this, but a draw, that's still huge for them to at least stay, well, not stay in it, but kind of keep out of that relegation zone. But make sure you vote for your player of the match at ESL UK. Let us know who you think between Mounty Crip, Jayota, and Zumi. Oh, it's hard one because Run, I feel like, should have maybe in there as well, but there's a good 5 or 6 players could have easily made one of those top 3.
That's a really tough one tonight. I'm not sure who to go for there. I know you're probably going to say Zumi, Tim. I think
he's come out with the big player that's got Audacity something out of that game. Without him stepping up in red corridor there, that potentially goes the other way. There was a couple of important kills from Zumi there that just swung it in Audacity's favour in that final round. So for me, yeah, he probably does win out on that basis. But Mounty Crip had a great match again. We saw that from him yesterday. He's certainly one to watch in terms of the Premiership going forward.
You can't actually see it, but Ace is already like voting for him underneath the desk. You just can't really tell. You got to stop doing. I've told you to stop voting for him, like in between games.
Voted on 4 accounts.
Oh really? Yeah, I might have done it as well.
All the burners.
All sorted.
But every single one of them did so well. We saw Jayota, where some of the opening fraggers really helped his team go forward. Zumi's just doing Zumi things. He's definitely one of the wonder subs. Even though this team hasn't done great this season, he's definitely one to watch out for. But Mounty Crip, you know, you talk about him all the time, and it looks like we ain't going to stop at this point, Ollie.
I hope not as well, because it's really nice to see players getting themselves involved in the Prem and then starting to grow and continuing to develop. He's coming off the back of 2 really good games there. I wouldn't be surprised to see him picked up on Twitter tomorrow. Like, are we going to see announcements? Is he going to get sniped out by a team? I don't know if there's still some places available in some organisations. But joking aside, great to see him coming out and putting in a big shift in the performance. And Jayota as well. That's a player that we kind of asked for a little bit from tonight. He had a great game yesterday, but he did cost in terms of his deaths. I think probably a little bit similar to this evening, but still coming in with big double kills when it mattered.
Absolutely. I say it lots of times. I say it over and over. These 2 teams, please stick together.
Yeah, that's the important
thing.
Keep
grinding, keep working, because you're already seeing the dividends from that. And no, it's not an overnight process. You're not going to a week later become a Challenger League team. But in the 6 months that we've seen Audacity working together, they're getting better. They don't have that dub yet, but it will come. It will come in time.
Fingers crossed.
And when one comes, it will open the floodgates and more will follow. That much is for sure. Enclave, you know, you've come through from sort of university and belong competitions. It's now time to step up to the bigger leagues and just to learn and take that opportunity, and hopefully they keep grinding together.
Yeah, I always feel like you should give a team around 3 to 6 months. It's important because you can really tell the flaws, and if there is changes need to be made. If you do just like a few weeks or a month or 2, it's clearly not enough unless there's some major mistakes in the entire team. But it's very rare to see that. A good 3 to 6 months is normally the good roundabout ballpark is what you'd normally save for in terms of teams if they should stick together or maybe make some changes here and there. But hopefully with this team, they can go forward and see what happens afterwards. But we do have an interview with the man himself. It is Access. You got your first point on the board. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. You know, it's a final night in the evening. We didn't expect a 12-round belter, but with these 2, I'm not really too surprised. So would you say that we've really seen the real enclave during this game? Because we know in previous games we didn't really see your true selves, but you really showed your individual ability this time round.
Yeah, so we've been shuffling around our roster trying to find a good balance between like frag and, well, not frag. And tonight's roster seemed to work the best in terms of the fragging. Obviously, we lost, but I feel like we should have won. Like, I feel like we cost way too much, like with some poor droning, some poor executes. So, yeah, I don't know. It's good to get a point, obviously, but it's frustrating we didn't get 3.
Yeah, it was a real shame. Of course, you've only got one more match after this, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. What changes do you feel like your team should have made during that game to try and solidify that win?
We tried to counter-strat them quite heavily with the defenses with the Jaegerbank because we know they hold blue a lot. But we just couldn't defend very well. Like, we just lost a lot of one-on-one gunfights, so our defenses were pretty weak after the first few. They seemed to catch on pretty well how to counter them, and then our attacks were strong, but yeah, simple decision making and droning kind of cost us.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shame in those kind of scenarios here and there, but we did notice that your gun skill compared to previous games was immaculate compared to what we saw in previous days. Did you feel a lot more confidence coming into the matchup?
Yeah, so what we sort of did is we had we went from 2 supports, 1 flex, and 2 entries. We went to 2 entries, 2 flexes, and 1 support. So it kind of helped us with our gun skill and our confidence taking the one-on-ones. And also we know the Audacity guys, like so we were quite confident to play them, whereas we don't really know any of the other guys. So yeah, confidence and like a shuffled roster definitely helped with confidence.
With that one change you made, we noticed your team was a lot more aggressive, and that was exactly what we needed to see. But one more question from me is the fact that you got Burning Foxes. I think it's one of your last matchups over the next 2 days because one of them is a default win. Do you feel a bit more comfortable now going into it? Because there's always an opportunity for an upset.
I mean, yeah, this roster feels a lot better, and I feel like with some good scrims over this week, we can put up a good fight, and we'll see.
Yeah, it will be the battle to stay out of relegation, but at least got that point on the board to kind of stay out of it just that little bit more. But congratulations anyway on the draw, and hopefully we'll see you again next week.
Thanks a lot, mate. Have a good evening.
Yeah, he had a good in rather than I did. I was just watching it, hoping they'll do the best they can. But yeah, they're thinking quite positive. It seems like that one change just made all the difference, just in terms of they were a lot more aggressive, they were very confident. They seem like the piece in the puzzle is slowly forming, but their execution is much better from what we've seen in previous days, Ollie.
It is, and they've got better ideas of how they want to do things. They're obviously going out there and watching some footage and getting some ideas and pinching some strategies, and that's exactly what you've got to do.
That's where you start.
That's where you start. It now comes down to the execution of that, and I think they're well aware of the mistakes and stuff that they were making. It sounded like they knew exactly what was going on. Weak defenses, poor droning, and they're things that are just going to come with time.
They're hungry as well, and that's what I like to see. He's come out there. They've got a good draw, a good result for them. They wanted the win. Yeah. They could have got 3. Yeah. And that, I like that. That gives you the drive. That gives you the motivation that you need to keep working those long hours, to keep going through those scrims and trying to improve. Watch all your VODs back. We don't always talk sense, but we do talk it every now and again. So have a look back over it, listen to the things that are being said and just see if it's something that can fit into your game. See if it maybe is something that clicks with you that thinks, actually, maybe that is something we can change. It won't always be the case. As we say, hindsight is great for us, but we don't necessarily see it from a competitive point of view all the time as well. There could be reasons why they do things, but really pleased with both teams tonight.
Yeah, I always feel like when it comes to mistakes, it's one thing admitting them, but the one thing some teams don't realise is actually why those mistakes happened and what caused some of these issues. And you see it quite a lot, and that's why some teams can't go from one tier to another or push that boundary. It's very difficult, but they know the mistakes, they've admitted them as well. So it's only going to go forward from this, and hopefully that's ways of actually progressing better as you go forth. But let's have a look at the results from earlier today. The first match, an absolute nail-biter, 12 rounds. I've got Ace and Troika here, I'm not surprised. And we had 2 of them out of 3, so, let's be real, let's be honest here. At least 2 out of 3 was going to happen tonight, but crazy and absolute. I wouldn't say whitewash. Fierce put up a little bit of fight here and there, but it was so difficult. Even crazy, one of the players, I think it was Patbull, mentioned earlier, but why did they take us to Coastline? But maybe it's just one of those picks they wanted to select because they don't want to give too much away. But even then, Fierce is one of Crazy's strongest contenders here in the Prem.
I mean, based off tonight, are they? You know, Crazy
Yeah.
made them look like amateurs. They took them to Coastline, maybe not the best idea, a map that Crazy is known for playing, but Fierce, they were just nowhere near. They weren't anywhere near on the gunfights, and Crazy just looking unstoppable.
But look at the standings here. Everything has changed going forward. Crazy does have that top spot, almost close to going straight to the Prem finals. But look at that demise following short. And Fierce, sadly, they will go down to third. But then again, you've got to look at the bottom side of the table with Enclave. They got that 1 point, so it's not guaranteed relegation and fighting in the relegation zone. But at least they've only got one more game. So Burning Foxes better watch out.
A difficult one for sure, especially with the way that we saw Burning Foxes playing tonight, Tim.
Yep, they are a dangerous team. They for me, are the most exciting prospect in Prem at the moment.
Yeah, I think Enclave are still going to struggle no matter what, but if they just show the confidence they did in the game just now against Audacity, then you never know. But then again, Burning Foxes, they've been looking very strong, especially against Demise early. Even though they just barely lost 7-5, some potential there. I think we need to watch out for Mace.
Absolutely. You know, there's nobody that can be written off here. That's the top and bottom of it. We've seen it, you know, we've seen surprises, we've seen upsets, and there is nobody that you can count out.
And how do you feel, Ollie? You've seen them for the past few days anyway. You've seen what they're like, but it seems like their team as a whole, they're very good at adapting in a lot of these matchups.
I think they're really good, and I like the way that they're sticking together. I like the way they're working hard as a team, and I think they've got that important long-term vision, which we often talk about. You can't just be looking short-term, like getting into CL and doing this and doing that. You've got to just lay it out and say, look, we're going to play, and we're going to play in everything we can, and we're going to do as good as we can. I think that first game tonight, probably the best game of Siege I've watched in a long time.
Thoroughly enjoyable. I'm going to go
I
back.
know you did.
I'm going to go back and watch it over again because it really was an absolute hoot for us to cast. You know, games like that are always a pleasure. So thank you to both of the teams for giving us that one because it is, you know, it makes our job easy when all you've got to do is get excited about that. You know, it really does.
You couldn't not get excited, but if you guys like to get excited for some open cups, make sure you head over to esl.im/R6UK to get some Siege credits. And if you want some of those, I want some for free, but I ain't going to get it because I'm not good enough. But it's every Tuesday on both PC and console too. Guys, final thoughts throughout the entire week.
I think we had some great games yesterday. We had some better games today. As I said, one of the best games I've ever seen in game number one. Crazy gave us a masterclass on Coastline, and we saw two teams battling it out on Bank. Beautiful stuff.
I can't wait to see Crazy playing against these top-level teams because they've absolutely dominated this week and throughout the season. They've been great. I keep shouting them out, but Burning Foxes, for me, again, I've really enjoyed watching them. They are one of them teams. Like I say, it's great being a good team. Absolutely. Of course it is. That's your ultimate aim. But to be an entertaining and enjoyable team, that's another thing altogether. And I really do like watching that team.
It's just a completely different story, isn't it? I think Ollie's just happy that he saw Bang. He's not really happy about anything else.
Absolutely thrilled.
Thank you very much, guys. Joy and Ace have been with me throughout the entire week. To production and, of course, you guys at home. Thank you all for watching, and thanks to our sponsors, AOC Gaming, and we'll see you again next Wednesday.
Defenders have eyes on the diffuser. Attackers need to protect it.